Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football with Jason and the coach. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. He's the coach, Philip Roybal. And if you love college football, we're late, but you're here in the right place. Smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame College Football. Welcome back to the show, Coach. Sorry I was running behind today.
Oh, good. Hey, life happens, man. Life happens. We got to take care of business. So It's always good to be here with you.
Yeah, listen, we may have Coach I and Shawty joining us pretty much any time. I think we will get into talking about just some kind of, I guess, a kind of a mixed bag of what's going on in and around college football as we get into our first week of fall camps. Lots of things kind of popping up and almost, you know how the news cycle starts to get whenever you get to this part. You know, you got new little things that pop up every day, along with the, you know, how do you put it? The manufactured information that seems to always hit the airways. I think first and foremost, we got some injuries that are probably, well, at the very least, could have an effect on some of the contending teams starting off the season. CJ Baxter at Texas is undergoing an MRI after receiving a knee injury this morning. Of course, that's a big piece of what they have planned to do at Texas with under Coach Steve Sarkisian. And last year, you know, when they lost, he was a big piece when they lost Jonathan Brooks during the regular season. One of a kind of a two-headed monster that they had going for the rest of the year. Then you had at Notre Dame starting left tackle for you guys going out this week, apparently for the season with the knee injury. I guess I'll go with you first. What is your concern when it comes to that kind of stuff in terms of your Irish?
Well, and I tell you, I had concern. I think we had talked about it already a little bit, that I had concern with our offensive line a little bit because, you know, we lost both of our tackles to the NFL after this last season. And, you know, Charles Jagasaw, which was the left tackle that started in the bowl game. He was a freshman, started in the bowl game, played pretty decent. And he was the starting left tackle for us going into this season. And obviously he pulled his pec muscle, his pectoralis. I don't know. I'm surely it was the pectoralis major muscle there, but he's out for the season. And so, you know, that takes us into what's next. And I think we have a young man he's a fifth-year senior, Tosh Baker, that has actually played that position before. I think that's going to be where they start in looking at that, because the right tackle spot that he had actually been going against Emil Wagner over. They were competing for that right tackle spot, but Tosh is going to move over. But I tell you what, I think, you know, it's really kind of an unknown what Charles Jagasaw was going to do. Sure. Although he's a great talent, but there's it's not proven at this point that we've lost a ton. Although you never want to lose a cat like that, but I think we just put in Tosh Baker there. I think we have some other players too, and we have Knapp that can play there. We have Sullivan Absher that can also possibly play there. So, you know, this is those times, Jason, that, you know, this is where coaches earn their keep. You know, so, you know, what are you going to do? You know, how are you going to get them there? I'm just glad it didn't occur the week that we were getting ready to play A&M, because then that's hell. And I'm not saying I'm glad that it happened, but I'm glad that it happened sooner
now
than later. Yeah.
if it's going to happen, you'd rather have it when you still have 3 weeks of preparation time to get whoever it is ready. And because as you said, you had obviously Tosh Baker was competing with Emil Wagner for the starting right tackle position at Notre Dame. So that, and I don't know how that kind of battle was going or whatever. They're both young guys. As well, you had the young kid there, the freshman on the left tackle, and then you had a young kid over on the right side as well. So it's probably a situation where, that kind of works. But we've talked about this a lot. We've talked about the questions, quote unquote, that you've had at Oklahoma for you're replacing all 5 of the guys that started a year ago. But I would say that Jacob Sexton's been a starter. Anyway, but aside from that, you are replacing a lot. The question would, where I don't feel like it's a question, is probably similar to how you think about Notre Dame. We're talking about 2 of the programs that have really set a standard in offensive line play over the last 4, 5, 10 years, even
absolutely
at Notre Dame, and particularly with Notre Dame and obviously with Oklahoma as well.
Yeah, both of them have just. I mean, they've set the standard, and again, we've talked about this. You guys going to the SEC, obviously, any team playing for, really attempting to play for the national title, you better have some depth on your O-line and your D-line. And like you said, Jason, I think both of these programs have done that. And you know what? Injuries are going to happen.
Sure.
I don't.
They just added games to the schedule for anybody wanting to win a national championship. You better have depth because, now you're looking at, to win one, 17 games minimum.
17 games. Yeah. That's a tough road to hoe, man. That's a tough road to hoe. So no, I think we'll be okay. And hell, if we're not, we're going to find out pretty quick, because Texas A&M has some great defensive ends, great defensive front. So we're going to find out early what we're going to look like up front after this mishap with our tackle.
Right. College football. Oh, Nuts has got making comments as soon as he gets in. That standard, it still has more national championships than Texas has, and whoever we're talking about. And what of meaning did have you guys won lately? So easy there, killer. Here we go with you as well. Welcome to the show, Mars Jams, Numbnuts, Garrett Bullware, Steve B. Thanks for coming in, Kyle Dupuis. When you get in, make sure you wipe your feet. And obviously check in with us. Let us know you're here. We always know when the Texas Trolls roll in, but I got a little thing for you guys showing up, a little something special.
The brand has finally returned. Fuck your brand.
And we could always make sure to say this.
You know what, guys? In a nice way, fuck y'all. We don't give a shit. Well, and I tell you what, guys, for all you Longhorn fans, I can give it to you down, or I can give it to you up, whichever way you prefer.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hold your ears, everybody. Hold your ears. You never know what might be said tonight. Hey, there's a lot of other stuff that we could be talking about as well. I mean, obviously injuries. That's kind of a news situation. We don't know what's going to happen. But you know what? I was on with Coach I and Shoddy this morning, along with Jake Merrill, on the breakfast tailgate on Fanatic Sports, and we were talking about the preseason top 25 polls that just came out. The coaches poll is out with USA Today. There's some questionable placement in it. I think that the what we'll kind of talk about a little bit here in just a minute is what we think about these preseason polls overall. I think you could probably guess what Coach would say and me at this point. But then you obviously look, obviously more kind of crap news that nobody probably wants to hear about, but some may. Michigan head coach and former Oklahoma Sooner Sharon Moore is hit with level 2 allegations for apparently erasing text messages in the Connor Stallions cheating case, whatever they want to call it, sign stealing, all that kind of stuff that they had going on at Michigan last year. That's going to be that's in the news right now. Where do we feel like that kind of moves things for them? And then the folks at Colorado continuing to make news off the field by what they think they're going to do on it. We've had Shador and Shiloh Sanders in recent days talking about Colorado being everybody's Super Bowl, and then of course some stuff like that. And welcome into the show, our friend from Fanatic Sports and Just My Damn Opinion, Shotty Parker. What's up, my man? How you doing?
Gentlemen, how y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Doing good, Shotty. How are you?
Poor man, just trying to make it, Coach.
Yeah. Hey man, if you don't have a ton of money, you're rich with friendship, aren't you there, Shotty?
Hey, I'll take it anywhere I can get it.
Facts.
Absolutely.
Well, welcome into the show. We were talking a little bit about, obviously, you've seen the injury bug kind of hit. Well, real quick, South Texas, thank you for the super chat here. He says, love the show, love the hate, hook 'em. Hey, you know what? That hook 'em stuff only stays up when you pay for it, buddy. But thank you for the super chat there. Appreciate that as well. Welcome into the show, Kimberly K, along with Stick S Cat and Mars Jams, Garrett Bullware, Steve B, Numbnuts, and Kyle Dupuis. Thank you guys for showing up. Wiley Litchford, thank you as well. Glad to see everybody in here. Yeah, obviously there's been some injury issues on the, in some key positions for what you would expect to be contenders in this way too early ranking time of the year. But Notre Dame losing their starting left tackle. Obviously Joe Alt went to the league last year anyway, but they were going to be replacing them anyway. But their supposed starting left tackle coming into the season goes out with a pectoral muscle injury. CJ Baxter, we're just finding out here in the last hour, running back at Texas, also out with the knee injury. Not sure the extent of that injury. He's set to go under an MRI here shortly. Shotty, what is having been through these fall camp situations and on, strong football teams, how tough is it to go through something like this, this early on in the year, whenever, what does it do to expectations along the team, or is it something where this is where you learn the, next man up deal, or what?
A little bit of all of that. I mean, it comes down to the injury, first of all. So, depending on the severity of the injury, then you know how much time you're dealing with. Then after that goes into the core of your program, which should be recruiting. That goes into that competitive depth thing we be talking about all the time. That right. Can be a blessing because now some of those younger kids hopefully has a chance to shine and get those snaps that he normally wouldn't get. So it could be a blessing in disguise. You just never know. And once again, just going back to your program, even if you don't have a younger kid to step in, you should have an older kid that can.
Shotty, ours is kind of
choice.
Ours is kind of a bass-backward situation, Shotty, because we had a freshman that was going to be starting at that tackle spot, and now that he's hurt, we're going to be looking at a fifth-year senior. So it's kind of a flip of what you usually, just what you were talking about. Usually, you hope you have a young kid to step in there, but ours kind of flipped on that deal. But Shotty, you gotta. Every team's going to go through this at some point in the season. And some years, and you know this too, some years, hell, some teams have several big time injuries, and you hope you stay away from those bugs, but you just never know.
Yeah, obviously, well, and the main thing is, and this is kind of what we were talking about the other day with me. early in the year, you don't. Most teams, you have competition at positions and stuff like that. And as you were kind of saying earlier, Coach, if you're going to win at any level whatsoever, you kind of have to expect that your depth better be pretty good anyway, right? You better have more than just that guy at that position if you're, especially a key position like left tackle or starting running back in the case of a guy like Texas and CJ Baxter. Obviously, CJ Baxter got a lot more playing time a year ago than he probably would have when Jonathan Brooks went down. So Texas is definitely not hurting in the backfield as far as depth is concerned. They've added really good running back talent pretty much every cycle since Sarkisian's got there. And obviously they were doing it even before that.
Listen, it was sort to lose your left tackle, but a program right now like Notre Dame, they should be playing 8 and 9 linemen anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's too deep at most, not even quite too deep at 8 and 9. So you're probably, that's most of those positions having a second guy that kind of rotates in as is. I know that Oklahoma,
they need to be cross-trained. You know what I mean? Like guards need to know how to play tackle, need to know how to play guard. They need to be cross-trained. That's what I mean by 8 or 9 guys. I ain't just talking about a tackle for a tackle, guard for a guard. I'm talking about guys who are cross-trained, 8 or 9 guys.
And that's exactly right. And I tell you what, that's kind of what I was expecting. I was, because this happened to our tackle on Saturday. The news just really kind of broke on Monday. But I wanted to see kind of how they were going to handle all this. And although they're moving the guy that was battling, there was 2 guys battling for the right tackle position, which was Emil Wagner and Tosh Baker. They were battling for that right tackle. Well, they're moving Tosh Baker over, but yet there's some other combinations that he's looking at. And so just like you said, Shotty, you got to cross-train. You got to be able to play. Obviously what you'd like to be able to do is keep your left side, have your left tackle, left guard be able to interchange, and same thing on your right side, because the stances are different. The play is opposite of what you would be. But yeah, I agree, Shotty. You've got to cross train because even talking about the depth in those programs. You still, great is great and good is good. And you want to put your greatest players out there in the best combination you can, because every team has so many great players and so many good players. And you want to get the greats on the field.
And just think about, you recruit a 5-star kid as a high school tackle. He comes to your program. As great as he is, he can only play tackle. So if anybody else get hurt, it don't matter. As good as he is, he can't do nothing but play tackle.
Yeah. And we got one of those. We got a great kid that came in. He's a freshman this year. And people were asking, was he going to be the one? Hell, guys, there's very few of those guys that come in, and he didn't even come in early. And so he didn't get to go through the spring. And so you can't. That's now, wild. You know what? During the season, obviously we start off with a monster in A&M. And their D line and defensive ends are pretty darn good. So that's going to really show us where we're at. But then we have some games that we're going to be able to play some of those young cats and use some different combinations to really get to where, game 5, 6, we're starting to gel a little bit and know who's really, can that big old freshman step in and start playing. So that, 2 good things about it is, although there's not a whole lot of good about losing a starter, but one thing we talked about earlier was at least it happened now and not the week that we're getting ready to play A&M. So we have some time to get some guys ready. And then, like I was talking about, we'll have some time here with some teams that, thank God, we don't have the schedule we had last year, because that'd make it tough on us. And so this year we got, you guys know our schedule's not super tough, and so we'll have some time to mature and get better.
I think that's a good point. You know, I was just bringing up your schedule there. I mean, aside from that A&M game in week 1, which of course you're on the road at College Station, we know that if they did anything well under Jimbo Fisher, they built along the defensive line for sure over the last few years. Now they've lost a couple of those guys that they got, 5-star dudes that, you know, that made up that quote unquote greatest recruiting class in history. But for Notre Dame, you know, already they were, now this makes it look like you're basically going to have 2 freshmen at the 2 most important positions on that offensive line, right and left tackle. But as you said, after that A&M game, number one, the schedule lightens up significantly, not just in view of the fact of, you know, you don't really have a presumed top 25 type team until week, what, 6? 5? Week 5 against Louisville, you host them. And then after that, you're probably looking at another month before you have.
But you open up with A&M.
Look like it's a contender. No, so Notre
Dame
schedule with Texas A&M, Northern Illinois at home, then on the road at Purdue. Then they have 8 straight home games, starting with Miami of Ohio, Louisville, Stanford, Georgia, and then before they go on the road to Georgia Tech and Navy. It's not 8 straight home games. It's like 8 at some point of the year. And then, but really their Florida State game on November 9th, after you finish that Louisville game, is probably the next toughest game that you're going to see for the Irish.
I agree.
And you have 2 freshmen starting, one at right tackle and one at left tackle.
That's the presumption.
Well, Jagassaw was a freshman, but now with Tosh Baker over there, Tosh is a 5th-year senior.
So it'll be interesting. So for that first game, Coach, I'm glad you told me that. I wish I had my pad. I'll put a note down. So because now I'm gonna be interested to see if they're gonna be sliding tight end or backs to that freshman side a lot. That'll let you know how ready he is.
Yeah.
True.
No.
Yeah, I guess I did read that wrong. It would have been presumably a sophomore and a freshman. You had 2 freshmen fighting for that right tackle spot. Now you slide over basically what you said. How does that work?
Tosh Baker, he's sliding over.
He's a sophomore,
he was competing,
right?
And he's a 5th-year senior. And he's sliding over to that left tackle spot. So he's actually started in that position some ball games. So it's not like he's and one of his biggest knocks was his weight, which I think now he's up to 310, 305. So he's played there before. It's not like it's a new gig for him. So again, I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to be a crushing blow. And again, like I stated earlier,
kind of hit your depth for later on. You know, now you just kind of move guys. You could see it kind of potentially affect the back end of that rotation that Claudia was talking about, where you have guys that may play guard, may play tackle in certain positions and certain parts of it, but now you probably move in a younger guy or somebody with less experience into that position.
And now I can see, like I was talking about, after that A&M game, I can see us bringing in that big freshman and playing him over there as a backup at the left tackle and getting him some game time. I mean, boy, if we can't get game time against Northern Illinois and some of those people we're going to play, then we're in deep shit anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can't get it straightened out in that situation, then it really doesn't matter, because, even if you do get into a playoff situation, you won't be there long, because you're going to get the best of the best at that point.
And I tell you what this is going to do, guys, depending on how well we do block it. these guys, I don't think will have any problem run blocking. I think the pass blocking is what we're really talking about. So I venture to say that Denbrock you're probably gonna see a little bit more RPO type play against A&M, and he does it well. And then again, I think we have a quarterback that's mobile enough back there that you better be ready for him to run the football. If you're getting a pass rush on him, he finds a seam, he can hurt you there too. So I think we're going to be okay, but it's always, shit. You hear that kind of news and you're like, damn, because he's not the only one. We've got some other players.
If you don't have to cater the offense to him, meaning that's what I mean by adding tight ends to his side and sliding backs to him, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's it's not much of a loss. I mean, it always sucks to lose a good player. Don't get me wrong. But if you don't have to change anything and you can just keep it running, like you say, you should be okay.
Be fine. Yeah. Well, and I tell you the other thing too on this is that the freshman Jagasaw started in the bowl game. But that's the only starting experience, one ball game starting. So it's not like we lost a guy that was a 2-year starter or so and again, you don't want to lose a starter, but we weren't 100% sure how he was going to look during this season.
Yeah, he had 73 snaps according to what we're seeing here anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, we can move on to some of this other stuff that obviously that some of it that really doesn't matter either, but we'll say that it does. Let's get into the USA Today top 25. Me and Shawty got a little spicy and back and forth this morning on Coach I's show about this part of it. So maybe we can roll right back into it. Obviously, Georgia coming in
round 2.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'll ref.
Georgia comes in as the number 1 team. I don't think that should surprise anyone with Ohio State at number 2. I think if anything, that's basically where any poll that you've seen so far has had those two guys either at 1 or 2, both of those programs. Ohio State, you've seen them at number 1 in a couple of different rankings or polls, if you want to put it that way. Oregon and Texas at 3 and 4, with Alabama rounding out the top 5. Coach is Irish coming in at number 7. I think that where my question started really being more than anything, well, number 1, I don't think that Texas belongs in the top 5, but I would say that Michigan and Penn State, along with Florida State, are fairly questionable in my mind as to why they're top 10 teams coming into the season. Now, I will say this, nobody gives a crap about what your poll ranking was in the preseason once it gets, midway through the college football season. And, but that being said, Coach, what are your initial thoughts when you look at this?
You ready? I don't give a shit. You guys know me that the polls, you know what? I could write every team on a piece of toilet paper and go wipe my ass with it. And that's how much it means to me. I don't even give a shit that they have Notre Dame at number 7. Let's go play the games and let's figure it out. Let's have this conversation about week 6. And then we can start, everything kind of starts ironing out and you see who's really in the top 10. So yeah, whatever.
You guys like the way I set him up there? I mean, it's kind of how I roll. So, I kind of know what's going to happen here next. So I do a pretty good job of anticipation, which of course, anticipation is an important part of college football, folks. I mean, let's just be real. It is what it is. Now, obviously, yeah, listen, and I couldn't agree with you more. And I know that Shawty and I kind of talked about this a little earlier today as well. If you really want to have a even semi-accurate poll. Now, not to say that some of these teams won't be in the top 10 by the end of the year, which I think we heard a little bit of this morning. But that being said, we don't really know anything about these football teams, at least until 3 or 4 weeks into the season when they started playing. But Shawty, what are your opinions about what these polls mean early on? I mean, I think there's a couple of different sides to it, but do you care about this at all? Or do you
yeah, sure. Yeah. No, sure. I mean, like what Coach said, to Coach's point, I agree with you 100%. That's not what I agree with you. You don't really know, and to your point, Jace, you don't really know, which nobody knows. But I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole of, I mean, that's kind of the point.
That's the fun part, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the point of why we do it. That's why, again, we have all this past information that we gather, watch all this film, we gather all this data, and we try to prognosticate on what we do with the polls. So I mean, and at the end of the day, no matter if we like the polls or not, guys, it generally works itself out anyway. So it just makes it fun. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, now, if you just want to go on sheer numbers, I should have looked this up. But I think over the past 17 years, the top team that's been picked in the poll has a top 17 that's been picked in the poll has always won the championship. So it does mean something. They are doing something right.
I don't think that's the ranking that the top 7 is what is.
No. A team ranked in the top 7 has won it 17 years in a row.
Okay.
Well, shit, I'm glad we're at number 7.
That's for Oklahoma. All right. Yeah, obviously rounding out that top 10, as I said, you have Michigan, Penn State, Florida State. Then it goes to Mizzou at number 11, LSU at 12, 13 at Utah. I think that it's easier to pick at least that top 5 is in terms of they're probably in that top 5 because of a lot of guys returning from a team that was pretty good a year ago, right? I think where it starts getting a little shaky to me is after that top 10 is, like Missouri. We don't know. LSU, a lot of people I think that you might have 2 different opinions on LSU from 2 different people, and 50 out of 100 may have, a different opinion than the other 50, right? When it comes to LSU, Utah, Clemson, I mean, what the hell does anybody think of Clemson at this point? 15, Tennessee, I know a lot of people that love them. Oklahoma, some people have them pretty high up there. Some people don't.
Well, you know what?
We have to take scheduling and
know who they are.
You got to think about their schedules too. Even though Clemson, they might be a great team, but their schedule is pretty bad too.
Right. Yeah. Some of them. Well, wait. Whose schedule is pretty bad?
Like Clemson. They're not going to probably play with maybe 2 ranked teams on their schedule. So what I'm saying is,
go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, I'm just saying the scheduling has a lot to do with their rankings as well. A team, if they can go 10-2 in their conference and win their conference, they're going to be a top 12 team. They're going to make the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. Clemson, obviously, they start off with Georgia at Mercedes-Benz Dome there in Atlanta, but then they got App State, NC State, Stanford, on the road at Florida State, at facing Florida former starting quarterback DJU in that one. Then Wake Forest, Virginia, Louisville, Virginia Tech. I don't know. They have one of the tougher ACC schedules I've seen when it comes to that stuff.
I've only counted 2 ranked teams in the conference, though.
Only 2 ranked teams in the conference at the moment.
So far that I care. Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I got you. Yep. Good call on that. I mean, look, they're the first one that the first one that comes in to be Florida State. They come in at 14, Miami at 19, which they don't get Miami this season, and they did lose to them last year. But according to this poll, you've got 4 North Carolina State at number 22. So total of 4 ACC teams in the top 25 of the coaches poll here. But again, I think that, look, man, I think Clemson, the questions I think most people would have about them are plenty valid enough for whether or not they are that team. Coach, I picked them to win, and I don't remember if you had them picked to win the ACC or not. They're shoddy.
I do.
I haven't had them picked. I think that they're headed in the opposite direction, to be quite honest with you. And they're depending on a lot of freshmen at those skill positions, which is what has really kind of hurt their quarterback, play over the last few years. Part of what it is, in my opinion, is that they just haven't had guys that were dynamic on the outside that will kind of mask a little bit if you're not playing great at that trigger man position. That's just my opinions about it, right? But with Klubnik, and I feel like he's already gotten a lot of the heat, but to me, I feel like they're headed the other way. But I can understand why other people.
I still have them. I still have them picked to win it also. But I also agree with you a little bit there, Jason. I think they're headed the wrong direction in some areas that we all already know about, the portal and those kinds of things. But I still think they have enough to probably win the conference. But it could be tough. Going back and looking at the coaches poll. I go back up towards the top, Jace.
Go ahead.
I look at this thing, and just some quick thoughts from me that aren't worth a shit. It won't matter worth a shit to you guys. But at the end of the day, Georgia, I'm good with where they're at. Ohio State, they're loaded with talent. I mean, but what are they going to do with it? I mean, what have they done with it? Can they beat Michigan? I mean, to me, they haven't solidified themselves to be in that spot, in my opinion. I mean, hell, we should have beat them last year, and we weren't that good.
Who would you put at 2, Coach?
You know what? And let me go down the list, and then I'll throw it at you, Johnny. 3, Oregon. I mean, again, won a lot of ball games, but I just don't see anything completely proven there to say they're number 3. Texas, I'm kind of like you, Jason. I think 8-4. Alabama, I think there's, you take Alabama and what do you have there? I mean, it's a new culture, and so there's a lot of question marks with Alabama, in my opinion. Ole Miss, another one. What have you done lately? I mean, I just, as I see this, as I go down that list, guys, I'm like, damn, there's a lot of teams in here that are ranked high, but there's a lot of damn question marks in every one of those programs. I don't think there's other than Georgia. I don't find anybody that's solid, in my opinion.
I think that speaks to the time of the year that we're into. You said it to start with. Nobody knows a damn thing about who's going to be the better team. You have an idea of who is going to be among the better teams in the country, more or less. I think if you followed this game very closely, with guys that follow it real closely like us, we could probably tell you which teams, minus a couple, that'll finish in the top 10. Nobody knows who's going to win the damn thing. And we don't even really know what this new playoff is going to look like, because they're not looking to get the best 12 teams in there to begin with. They're going to add in there's some stipulations with automatic bids and such that, not just with the G5, but with all the conference champions, they're automatically slotted in a certain position. So it's not like they were really trying to make sure they get the best 12 teams into this new 12-team college football playoff. But I would say that, to me, I'm kind of with you in view of the fact my earliest my earliest impression of this poll itself. First and foremost, I don't have a problem with the top 2. Oregon being at number 3, I would have Oregon in my top 10. I would not have them at number 3. We haven't seen Dan Lanning win any significant game yet. So even though I love their talent roster, I would question at what point do you really have them favored to win the Big Ten when they're going to travel the way that they are in year one, even though they got maybe a little bit lighter of a schedule in terms of than some teams may? I don't know. They're unproven to me. Texas, I struggle to understand why they're in the top 10 when we saw them lose 11 players to the draft a year ago. And most significantly, on the defensive side of the ball, we also saw Bo Davis go out. Chicken has been saying a lot, and this is something that I've been saying a lot on my show. I believe that they lost their culture builder in Bo Davis when he went to LSU. He was the guy that was in the bus, taking those players to task in year one. He was the guy that made Murphy and Sweat 3-star guys into first and second round draft picks this past year. And not only that, but they lost, Ford, which was their number one, Jalen Ford, who's their number one linebacker as well. They weren't very good in the secondary as is. There's a lot of expectations placed on, or a lot of love placed on and given to Texas because of guys that they got in the transfer portal, and assuming that they're just going to reload and re-go. I get that they have a lighter SEC schedule than certainly Oklahoma, but why would anybody believe that Texas is going to be a top 5 team at the end of the year? Go ahead, anybody.
I don't think they saying they're going to be a top 5 team at the end of the year. This is the preseason poll, right?
If you're telling me that they're a top 4 team right now, then that means you have expectations for them at the end of the year, Shawty. Don't say that. You know better.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just saying, but this is a preseason poll. I agree with you. But I'm saying this prognostication is just based off the information we have now. So we're saying, of course, we think they're going to be I think they're going to be a top probably 10 team, maybe 12-ish. But I'm just saying this is a preseason poll. That's all.
Hey, Shawty, how many games do you think Texas will win?
10-ish, 10. Yeah, 10. I just answered the question. That's all.
Yeah,
I was just sneezing, man. That's all I was doing. But that's look, man.
I don't think Ole Miss should be that high. I think they rated a little too high, Ole Miss, for sure. Mm-hmm. But my question would say this right here. I think Oregon is going to play for the Big Ten championship. So if they beat Ohio State, they rank where they should be, which is right behind them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. That's assuming. So we're saying that 2 of the top 3 teams. I mean, I didn't even get into that part of it, but I don't believe that 2 of the top 3 teams in the country reside in the Big Ten. I think 1 of the top 3 teams in the country reside in the Big Ten, and maybe it's either or. But I would say that when you look at what Ohio State was a year ago, the pieces that they added, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, plus adding Chip Kelly, they're built to win today, right? So
my question to you, Jason, just like I asked Coach, who would you put at 3?
Who would I put at 3? Probably Bama. I would probably have Bama in there at number 3, just because of the fact. Look, and I get it that they're and Coach is going to disagree with me on that one. He doesn't, but I would tell you that I understand that they lost some pieces there. The biggest piece being Nick Saban, the best coach of all time. I also think that they still have a number 1 roster ranking as far as talent is concerned, and they replaced him with a coach that's lost 12 games out of 120 in his head coaching career, and took a 4-8 team the year that he got to Washington. They went 25-3 in the next 2 seasons. That's why he got this job. I think it's a little overblown thinking that Alabama's going to fall flat on their face because Kalen DeBoer came into town. I believe that with that roster talent, I mean, again, do I think that they're the best team in the country? No, but I do think that they have an opportunity to continue to do what they will do. I guess, Ole Miss, I mean, yeah, they're unproven also, but I would definitely look at somebody like Notre Dame being further up than what Oregon. I like Oregon in the top 10. I don't know that I love them in the top 5. I don't think that they're the third best team in the country. I don't look at them as one of those teams that I'm like, yeah, this tells me if one of those first two doesn't win it, it's going to be Oregon. And I don't know that I believe that at all, because I've not seen Dan Lanning win a game that tells me, oh yeah, if all things are equal, he's going to kick your ass, because he hasn't done that. He hasn't done that.
And that's back to my point. I think there's a lot of question marks about all those top 10 teams. There's some real question marks. I mean, even Ohio State, as loaded as they are with talent, let me tell you guys, I mean, they've been loaded with talent for a long time and hadn't got it done. And I'm telling you, he better get it done this year or his ass is gone. But should they be ranked 2? Probably, if you look at their talent that they have. Sure. The OC, bringing him in, I think that was a great move. But he's got to get it done, and he hadn't done that. And then the only other thing I wanted, Jimmy Lee Baker, I just want to tell you something. Don't call me a motherfucking Bubba, because I'm not a Bubba. Okay? I ain't your Bubba. I ain't nobody's Bubba. I got a name. You can call me by my name, brother. And
can I get a little context, Coach?
Yeah.
I can't, just for the context. What is Bubba a bad word? I mean, I don't know. Is it a Notre Dame thing?
It's not a bad word, but how many Hispanics have you seen called Bubba? I ain't no Bubba.
Call him Vaquero or something, bro.
A cabron or something. But anyway, to answer the rest of your question there, Bubba, is the only thing Notre Dame has done lately is win a lot of football games. Now, they hadn't won the big ones in the playoffs and those type things, but yeah, I can say they've won a lot of ball games lately.
Again, I would say that Notre Dame definitely, I look at them as the top 10 talent. We've looked at what they have been over the last couple of years. They've been this close to kind of making that move. If you have a question about who they are and what they are, I think that Marcus Freeman's done a hell of a job recruiting. But similar to Dan Lanning, and I think a lot of other coaches that we might talk about, you kind of need to win that game. The biggest of the games. They got USC last year at a time that they may have had the Heisman Trophy quarterback, but they weren't very good. And you exposed that of them, which is a good thing. And then I guess the year before, your signature win would have probably been Clemson, although you had opportunities to beat an Ohio State team, last year as well, that probably would have been there you go, Vato Loco. That's a good one. But not winning that game against Ohio State last year in South Bend when you had opportunities, and as you said, a dead body at number 11, being the 11th player on the field, they get in that and score at the end of the game, right? So I definitely understand the question. But
no, he's got just like the rest of those guys. He's got to step up this year and win the big ball games. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Coach, can you give me a 3 team? I know you don't give away, but do you have a team you'll put at 3?
A team I'd put at 3. And I tell you that's where I struggle. I look at all these and I think, I think that, I think all of them have a possibility of being there at 3. but there's so many question marks that I don't have one that's solid enough that I could give you, Shotty.
So how you think the voters feel? That's what I'm saying. Because we got to put somebody there. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm getting at. It's the preseason.
No.
That's kind of my point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I got you. I just, old coach, he just doesn't like the damn polls.
Thinks that Texas is a top 10 team. I want to know which one of you guys thinks Texas is a top 4 or 5 team in the country. Go ahead. Tell me. Which one of you guys believe that about Texas? Go ahead.
It's shoddy. Go ahead, Shoddy.
I mean, I think Texas is going to play for the SEC championship. So I think they're a top 4 team. That's just me. I mean,
sure. I
gave y'all my preseason playoffs. I had Texas. Oh, my apologies. Well, I had Texas at 5, finishing up as number 5. And they're going to play Tulane as the number 12 at large team.
What did you say?
So Jason, I obviously, I know you don't think OU should. What do you think OU should truly be?
Brand has finally returned. F*** your brand.
What do I think about Texas? I think that number one, as I said a minute ago, they lost the better parts of their defense to the draft. Not to mention to an SEC rival in LSU when Bo Davis, took off. I think that was probably their biggest loss. I'm not, Sark being an offensive guy that he is and having a guy that's coming back at quarterback. Now, we know that I don't think a whole lot of Quinn Ewers either, to be quite honest with you. He hasn't been a guy that in those pressure-packed situations we've seen come through very much. 2 games against Washington, a game against Oklahoma last year. Yes, they beat Alabama in that second game of the season. I think that 2 weeks later they lose that game for sure. But in any event, he did win that one. They won a conference championship. But I think one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time is this argument that's been going on Twitter about almost when they win the national championship this year, how he's going to overtake Vince Young as the greatest Texas quarterback in history, which to me is absolute blasphemy. And I don't give a flying fuck about Texas, but I think that's insanity. And you haven't seen this guy step up in those situations, on top of the fact that you're replacing his top 5 pass catchers with portal guys as well. The only thing that I'm saying is for them to play for the SEC championship, as you just got done saying, and certainly to finish as a playoff team in this season, you're expecting, with 11 guys gone to the draft plus Bo Davis, that they're going to be better than they were a year ago. You have to assume that they're better than they were a year ago, because even though they have a lighter SEC schedule, it's still tougher than the one that they had in the Big 12 a year ago. Still tougher than the one they had in the Big 12 a year ago. So we have to assume that they're going to be better than they were a year ago with 11 guys gone to the NFL draft. A number of those guys were 1st and 2nd round picks, by the way. I don't buy it. I don't think that there's no way that I buy Sark as a championship contending coach, because he's won double-digit games once in 10 seasons as a head coach. I think there's a lot of things that we're just assuming is gonna work out in the best interest of the Texas Longhorns, because a lot of folks at higher places like ESPN and stuff really want them to be there. That's my feeling on it. Anybody? I mean, dead air isn't really good, so please chime in.
I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to argue for Texas. I'm looking at these comments. I'm not here to argue for Texas. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
I just again, my opinion
this morning, bro.
No, I mean the facts are the facts. I'm sorry, Coach.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying the facts are the facts. I mean, like someone in the comments said, I think Texas is a top 5 team, but I'm not giving any reasons why they should be. You don't even have to look at me. All the professionals are saying that too. So that's all I'm saying. It ain't just me. I'm not the only one who think Texas is a top 5 team. And also, Texas, I know they lost 11 players, but I think they recruit. I think all of their team wasn't 6-year seniors. I think they got players coming back to replace people too. And they're a pretty good program at this point, man. Let's get it. All I'm saying, just let it be what it is. Come on, man. They won 11 games last year.
And I got to tell you this, Shotty. I've been, I coached Texas high school football for 25 years, and I also had great relationships and had coaching buddies at UT, and I had players that several players that played at UT. And so I've watched that program for a long, long time. Never really was a horns down guy until recently. And I have to tell you that Sark is a lot of the reason I am a horns down guy. I'm not still sold on Sark. One season of being successful. And that program, I mean, just like the question that was posed to me earlier, who is Notre Dame beat lately? Well, Texas, you can go back and look at a string of years. They hadn't done diddly squat, and they've had, like you said, some great players.
All season every year.
So one season doesn't make, for me anyway, one season doesn't make them great as everybody is making them out to be. And I'll tell you, having lived in Texas all those years, coached in Texas, everybody always wanted Texas to be great. They always wanted Texas to be
Coach, all I'm saying is I don't look at it like that because I don't really know much of Texas. All I'm saying is any other team program that was just played in the playoffs, that coming back with a top 5 recruiting class, you're gonna be high on them. That's all I'm saying. If you take the brand, you take the names off, and you just explain the situation, you'll just prognosticate that team is on a trajectory to be good. That's all a preseason poll is saying.
Unless Sark is your head coach.
Okay. I got you.
I'm gonna go here.
I agree with all that. I agree with all that 100%. Where I fall off on it is Sark. He's got to, if he turns around, proves it again this year, then I'll be on the wagon and say, hell yeah, Texas is good again. But until he does it again this year, because I truly think their ceiling is, I'm not even sure it's less than this, but I believe their ceiling this year is 9-3.
Yep. And I've been saying 8-4, but I don't see a snowball's chance in hell of them getting to 10 wins again. I think that with this SEC schedule, that keeps them in the playoff. Oklahoma could go 9-3 with the playing the top 7, at least by the media's picks, ranked teams in the SEC headed into the season. They play 6 of the top 7. They're number 8 in that media poll. So they're going to have an opportunity to kind of have their deal. But with Texas, they don't really play like, for Oklahoma playing against Alabama and LSU, you have Texas playing as normal, not to mention Texas as well, but Texas goes up against Georgia, OU, and then after that, the next best team that they play in the SEC is going to be Texas A&M. I don't know anybody who expects Texas A&M to be a playoff team. Outside of College Station, I would say. I don't know anybody who will sit here and tell you unequivocally that they believe, even with Mike Elko, that A&M's going to the playoff. Now, and they may be talent-wise, I don't know that they're a whole lot different than what Texas is, right? We know that Texas A&M doesn't win shit. They just don't do that. That's not who they are.
I tell you what, I'd be scared to death if Elko was at Texas. That's where I would be scared.
I would too. But I also think that this as much as anybody. the feelings that go around a program. If it's hard to change a narrative that's been being built for 100 years of being little brother. I don't give a shit how good a coach you are. I think Nick Saban would struggle at Texas A&M. It just because of they're so used to having their best teams jack it all up. I see what you're looking at, and that may be a little bit of hyperbole. The point is it's not that easy to believe if you're an A&M guy because you lose to Texas all the time. And obviously, they hadn't in a while, but they're always.
I think that's one of Texas' losses this year.
I do too. We've said that. I believe they lose that game. I know they're losing to Oklahoma and Georgia.
In-state rivalry, I can see that.
Yeah, and plus it's at College Station, and to me, A&M needs that win a lot more than you need to see Texas win there, right? And I think that it matters to them a hell of a lot more than it matters to Texas, or at least that Texas fans are going to tell you that because they're going to build in their excuse for losing it now. In the end, plus I do like their coach situation better, but I just think that really my question is, and it's something that Sooner Cowboys is saying. Everybody is, you're kind of falling, Shawty, and I'm just going to pick on you because you're here, and you've been talking about Texas shit.
I can take.
You're falling into that trap of believing in Texas because you're hearing it from everybody about how good you think they are. What this is my opinion. You can definitely tell me otherwise, but Sooner Cowboys has a right. OU's been judged. Because in all this stuff that you say about Texas or OU that, well, it's because they played in the Big 12. Well, they beat the shit out of a Big 12 out of the 28 years or 27 years that it's been a conference. They won 14 conference championships. They get judged for playing and beating a bad conference, but all of a sudden, the team that won 4 Big 12 championships is walking into the SEC, and they're among the elite day one. It's insanity to me, and it's part of the reason. It's if OU fans are like, what the fuck? It's because of shit like that. OU's beaten them 7 out of the last 9 times they've played, and this is what we're talking about.
And last year when those so damn guys, good,
yeah, their best team in 15 years could have beat Oklahoma. So please do tell me how they're an elite brand and Oklahoma is not that good coming in. I don't care about the rankings right now. I think OU's in a good position to move up and kind of run under the radar. I actually love the hate right now because I think that's a motivating factor for a team like OU. But
who let me ask you. I'm gonna ask you 2 questions, and I know this gonna be. It's just gonna be simple question, but I know this is gonna get very deep. But it's gonna be simple questions. Who won the most games last year between Oklahoma and Texas?
Okay, Texas. Go ahead.
Okay. Who went further in the playoffs and had a better season?
Yeah, they got to the playoff.
See how it's starting to get complicated. Who had the better season and went further in the playoffs?
All right, I'll answer that question with a question.
Oh, you just can't say Texas, huh?
I already did say Texas. I answered the fuckers when you asked.
Yeah, you answered the first question. You didn't answer the second. But all I'm getting at, Jason, all I'm getting at is my bad. All I'm getting at is I'm not basing it off the history. I said in the beginning, I don't know the history. I'm just basing off what I seen off of last year and what they have coming back.
Have the same team as last year.
I get it. I'm talking about what they have coming back based off what I seen last year and what they have coming back. That's why I think they are top 4 team or 5 team. I could be wrong.
So much? What that's coming back do you love so much though? I don't get it because who's coming back?
Just we had a conversation this morning,
Please,
man.
Come on.
Just like we said, now you have to give people credit. I can say the same thing about OU. Y'all lost y'all whole offensive line. You went to the portal and got players. Now you just gonna all of a sudden say all your linemen just gonna gel and be great, and you're gonna have a good line. Texas lost all their receivers, like you said. They went to the portal and they got receivers. But I tell you this: if you ask any coach, if you had to lose a position group and go to the portal to get, I guarantee you they're ready to go get wide receivers and offensive linemen.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you.
So my point being is, so how can it be so great for OU to go in the portal and get offensive linemen? It's gonna work for them, but Texas can't go get receivers and it be great for them and it work for them.
I already told you that I don't believe that Texas is their issue is going to be offense so much as it is going to be defense. Oklahoma's
just talking about the principle of getting players. Y'all lost players and they lost players. Y'all replaced players the same way they did. Okay. I'm just saying the principle of replacing players.
One position group. We're talking about the offensive line position group, which Oklahoma has, if it's at least arguable, the best offensive line coach in the country, who has more NFL players in the league right now that
he's the premises of your argument is losing players. I'm just saying both teams lose players. I'm just saying because you replace players, they got to be good. Why can't Texas replace players and they are good?
First and foremost, Oklahoma, the better part of their receiving core is still there, and it's overblown about the O-line because a lot of those guys are coming back. They're not. They do have some guys that they got through the portal.
Man, overblown. It's overblown. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna let me finish what I'm saying or not? You gonna let me finish what I'm saying or not? You asked the question, I'm gonna answer it for you. All right, I'm gonna answer it for you because, as I said, there's a lot of guys that are coming back on that offensive line that aren't new to the program. In fact, a number of their starters may not be the transfer guys. What I would tell you is, they have more coming back on the defensive side than anybody in the SEC. Number one, the additions that they made through the portal or through recruiting on the defensive side of the ball are what we expect and what everybody tells us is what really matters in the SEC in that trench league along the defensive line and playing hard-nosed defense. We're talking about Texas's receivers. I'm talking about the fact that they lost their defensive line coach and the best players from their front seven to the draft or leaving through the portal, right, last year. And we're expecting them to be the same team or better as they were a year ago. I'm not saying that they're not going to still be pretty decent as far as their offense is concerned. In fact, I think that the place that they're returning the best is offensive line. They've got most of those guys coming back. They've done a good job on the O-line side of it. Quinn Ewers, I think what I think about them, I still think they're going to be decent on offense. Defensively, I think they're going to be dog shit. And I think that's a problem. I think that's a big problem. Because I do know that Quinn Ewers isn't a guy that is going to go win you a bunch of games. He may not lose them for you, but he's not going to go out there and win them for you. And I think with this kind of defense, you need a guy that's going to go out there and win a bunch of games.
Who has the better quarterback coming back right now? Texas or OU?
I think Oklahoma has a better quarterback. I think that
I don't even know why I asked that question. My bad.
That is a stupid question, by the way.
I don't know why I asked that question.
Because you know what? It's easy to argue Quinn. It's easy to argue Quinn because he's been a starter.
Quinn Ewers is a top 5 quarterback. Jason Arnold is not a top 5 quarterback right now.
Quarterback. Come on.
Are you sick, Jason? So Quinn Ewers is not a top 5 quarterback in the SEC coming back this year. Wow.
I think if he's a top 5 quarterback in the SEC, it's marginal. There's no way he's top 5 in the country. No fucking way.
I said the conference.
I said marginal in the conference. There's no way he is in the country. You can argue him as a top 5 in the conference just because he's coming back. But I would tell you that there's minimum 5 guys that are better than him in that league coming in right now. Even just projecting what I think they may be. We've watched a lot.
Here's the other thing, guys, and this is a fact. Quinn Ewers and his health and being injured is something that everybody's got to look at. Whether he's top 5 or not top 5, either way, but he doesn't stay healthy every year.
Man, somebody say y'all was jumping on my boy. Texas. What's going on now?
What's happening, Coach I?
What's going on, everybody, man? Appreciate y'all having me on.
We're glad you're here.
Coach?
Yeah,
I was over there.
He's drowning. He needs you.
I was over there chilling on the Sharpshooter podcast, man. I had to tell Briscoe, come on, man.
He's in the blink.
I just been watching the show. That's all I've been doing.
So what we talking about?
Just tell me when I say inaccurate. I didn't say nothing about his health. The fact of the matter is he's a top 5 quarterback in the conference. That's all I said. What is inaccurate about that? You name me 5 more quarterbacks that's coming back in the SEC that's rated higher than Quinn Ewers. I guarantee you can't do that. I guarantee you can't do that.
I'm telling you that I think that Dylan Gabriel would have been a better returner for sure. He's proved that. But when you look at Jackson Arnold,
that makes no sense. That makes no sense.
The only thing that makes him a leading returner in the SEC is the fact that they went to the playoff a year ago. That's it. He's lost a ton of games. Shawty, if you paid attention to what I'm talking about, he's lost a lot of games in important times when they needed him to step up. And I just told you, I don't think offensively is really their problem when we start talking about Texas. But I've watched him be on the 12-yard line in a game that Washington was desperately trying to give away to them in the playoff last year. And he had 4 shots at the end zone from the 12, and they didn't take but 1 shot at the end zone.
And he's still top 5 rated quarterback. Name me 5 better. I guarantee you to my point. You can't name me 5 better. You want to name out, you want to take out an instant. Every player has bad plays. Every player has bad plays.
I think that are better. I can guarantee
that you think better or that are better.
On the field. Thinking are different.
What are the ratings proof? What do the ratings prove? That's somebody else's opinion about who he is too.
Western, we ain't made no sense to have a conversation. We just cause we can say that's for everything, but it won't be no point in saying no rating.
What is somebody else's rankings? Why are they better than whatever I think about them too? I watch just as much college football, if not more, than some of these clowns that are coming up with these rankings of the top 5.
Gotcha.
I certainly think that Jackson Dart's better. I know that Carson Beck is better. Absolutely know that Carson Beck is better. I would tell you that if he's healthy, and this is a question for Quinn Ewers as well. Connor Wegman's another one. Jackson Arnold's another one.
Well, neither the last 2 you haven't seen them do it though.
I haven't seen him do much either, Coach.
He threw for 3,400 yards last year and didn't even play in 2 of the games. And Carson Beck threw for 3,900 and played in every game Georgia had. 13.
Problem with me putting Carson Beck up there in front of him, but what has he done? He hasn't won.
So now let me. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna get off there right here. Now, every point that Coach has made and you have made has been about these coaches and these teams. We haven't seen them do it yet. So until they do it, they still suck ass. Now, you just brought up 2 players who ain't doing it, and you clearly trying to make an argument that they better than players who done it.
Who done what?
Okay, all right.
Man
won 11 games.
By going by what you're saying, Quinn got to the playoffs, so he's better than Carson Beck too.
Yeah, some people have him higher than Carson Beck.
That's insanity. That'd be silly shit.
Some people have him higher than Carson Beck, and that's not an argument I'll be like. I'm not gonna go back and forth about, because I can see the argument for Quinn Ewers over Carson. I'm gonna take Carson because I feel like Carson, I think what separates them is the availability. Carson was available every game. Quinn Ewers wasn't. They have about the same bad percentage on deep balls. They both need to improve in that area. But if you try to make an argument for Quinn Ewers over Beck, especially like when you talk about getting drafted and stuff, I think some of the draft boards have him higher than Beck, and then other draft boards have Beck higher than him. I think it's like a 1A, 1B type. It's like saying who should be favored, Georgia or Ohio State. If you said Ohio State, I wouldn't I wouldn't be like knock down, drag out, try to say, well, no, it should be Georgia because I mean I can see why you got Ohio State. Now, if you said it was like should it be Georgia or Oregon, then that's not a competition to me. It's I don't know. Like Quinn Ewers, I feel like Quinn Ewers is better than you give him credit for, definitely. And I feel like he is a top 5 SEC quarterback for sure.
The point is, you got film to judge him on. You know what
Right.
you at least have. That's what I'm saying. So how you gonna say somebody who ain't played started a game?
Now, in the long runs, some of those guys could be better than Quinn, but right now
Right.
you can't
You
say
can't
that.
just say that. You can't just say that definitely.
You're talking about a couple of games that he's won. I'm talking to you about games that I've seen him gag away at Texas. Leads that double-digit leads that they've had that he couldn't get it done.
Well, you can say the same thing for Dylan Gabriel. The first year Brent Venables was there, y'all only won 6 games, bro. He was a part of that.
Right.
So you just said that Quinn. You said that if Dylan Gabriel came back, he would be better than Quinn Ewers. He's done the same exact thing that you said Quinn Ewers has done. Not one game where y'all was up.
Come on, man. You know damn good and well that it's about more than just the quarterback. I'm telling you.
Well, you just blame Quinn Ewers. Then you can't blame Quinn Ewers.
He had big turnovers against Oklahoma last year. The year before that, he lost multiple games due to his throwing interceptions and having turnovers. Same thing. He had turnovers against Washington last year in the playoff as well, and didn't go get it done when they were on the 12-yard line and they were trying to hand them the damn game back. There's reason to believe. You can say that, yes, they made it here, but this what I just told you earlier, Shawty, about you question Oklahoma for beating a bad Big 12, but Texas is a lot better because they beat the bad Big 12.
No, me either. What I said is Texas won more games and they went deeper in the playoffs. That's why I say they are better.
One game more. They won. Yeah, okay.
Hold on, which one is more, 10 or 11? What kind of math?
12. It's 10 or 12. I'll even give you that part of it and tell you that it's still the same damn conference, and they didn't beat Oklahoma. Head to head, they didn't beat Oklahoma.
I didn't say that. I said they won more games.
Two things can be true. Oklahoma was better than Texas last year, but Texas had a better season than Oklahoma.
And they won more games.
But that's what I'm saying. They had a better season, just like the second.
I'm not saying that they didn't have a better season. I'm telling you.
That's what I've never said they were better than y'all because they beat somebody. I hold Texas and Oklahoma, up there. But I told you I hold Oklahoma when they come head to head. Then I'm definitely right now, unless I see something different. I got Oklahoma head to head.
This isn't even between the Oklahoma thing. What I'm saying is I don't see how anybody truly believes that Texas is an actual contender. When you look at the fact that they're not a better football team than they were a year ago, I don't give a shit how many games they won last year, Shawty. They also had multiple draft picks in their on that defense last year.
That same logic can be
in the places you guys say is so important. The trenches, their best guys are gone.
Your best guys on offensive line are gone, but you think y'all are a better team this year.
Which ones are those? We had one
the whole offensive line. Y'all replacing the whole offensive line, Jason.
No, you're not. I told you, Jacob Sexton was starting at the end of the year over Tyler Guyton.
Okay, so you got one guy out of 5.
Correct.
You replace 4 offensive linemen.
That's
so you
replaced though.
They replaced 2 defensive tackles. Mm-hmm. You still got defensive ends and linebackers, right? So the same logic can be the same logic you use for Texas. You can use that same logic, and that's what I do. If I must say Texas is going to struggle in the trenches because they're replacing something, then I use that same logic for Georgia, for whoever. Because if that's the case, then that's the case. I don't worry about offense on Texas because of Sark. I don't worry about offensive line as much as some on Oklahoma because y'all got Bill Beatonbow. But if I say it's a concern for one, I gotta say it's a concern for the other, dog.
It's a question. I don't concern myself with that stuff, and I don't even question.
So why should Texas concern themselves with the things you're talking about?
I'm not talking about their offense so much. I'm saying that a lot of things have to happen for them to be as good as they were a year ago when they've got 11 guys 5 pass catchers, a bunch of dudes off of that defense that are gone, and they're playing in a better conference than they were in last year.
But a worse, they're playing a easier schedule though.
Okay, they're playing an easier schedule. Coach, did you know that defensively, Oklahoma is their linebackers by field steal are ranked second, the second best unit in the country, and so is their secondary, second best unit in the country by field steal. Their defensive line in the top 20 coming into this thing. That to me is why I believe in Oklahoma and what they're going to do. Offensively, it is going to be what it is. You got to stop teams in this league. You guys say it all the time. And it starts up front. They've got a 7-man rotation on the D line, the 2 tackle spots at Oklahoma. They've got a bunch of new guys that nobody's sure about at Texas. And their defensive ends that they're so proud of are freshmen.
True freshmen?
At Texas.
True freshman?
Colin Simmons.
Or is he a returning sophomore, or is he a true freshman?
Colin Simmons is a true freshman.
So he's never played a snap.
He was at freaking Duncanville last year.
Okay. Is he going to start for Texas though?
That's what we keep hearing.
I mean, I don't ever count. I don't care what team it is. I don't ever put
Morris Earl and Ethan Burke would be their starter. Okay.
All of those guys played last year,
the only one that has any experience on the Texas D line though, Ethan Burke. And there are guys in the middle. We don't know. Big deal. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You're telling me that it matters for Oklahoma, but it doesn't matter.
No. I'm saying it matters for both teams. You're saying it doesn't matter for Oklahoma and it matters for Texas. I said it matters for both teams.
It doesn't matter for Oklahoma.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. For the old line, you're like, I'm not worried about the old line. Like, why not?
I'm not worried about the old line, but I'm not saying that it doesn't matter. You have to play good ball on the old line. What I'm telling you is that I believe in the old line coach, and it's not. It's
then Sark is not one of the best off. Like we talk. Like, come on, dog. Like
I told you I wasn't worried about their offense, but go ahead.
Okay, dog. All I'm saying is they don't have good defensive coaches, dog. There's no way they made it to the champ. Dog, they ain't make it that far if they ain't have good defensive coaches.
Their best defensive coach is not there no more. I will give you that.
Okay, one guy. I mean, come on, bro.
What do you mean? I think that there's a lot.
Guys,
it's just going.
Guys, if this is going to go on, I'm done for the night.
Right. I'm gonna let them have, but I'm just saying, when I use my logic, like if you replacing somebody, even if you got them out the portal or you got a good coach at that position, it's still something that if you can say it's a concern for one team, it's got to be a concern for the next.
It is a concern for everybody. I'm not saying that it isn't. I wasn't even talking about the O-line. I talked to you about everything that you're returning on defense for Oklahoma, and they're still saying you've got people that are saying that they're not as good as Texas is. And Texas is losing all these guys, and they're just, hey, they're reloaded, and they got the portal guys, and they're going to go do what they do. This is what you continue to hear. Their offense being, even if it is as good as it was last year, and I don't think it is, but just because they have that same offense, they're still elite.
Well, I mean, I can only argue what I believe. I can't argue what everybody else is saying. So we can move on because we don't want coach. We don't want coach. We don't want coach to.
I mean, we're not. The thing is, we're not going nowhere. The thing is, we're not going anywhere.
Right.
Like that. I thought you had on the dive.
Hey, so what's everybody's thoughts on the Michigan saga?
I think they cheated and they're going to go down for it eventually. Now, how hard they go down, I don't know, because the NCAA ain't really got no backbone these days, to be honest with you. They should give them a postseason ban, to be honest with you. I don't care nothing about vacating wins. We watched the games. They won. No, vacating wins to me is letting teams off
worthless.
Easy.
Yeah.
That's
Is
worthless.
this unprecedented? Had this ever happened before? Because they make an example.
You mean like cheating or just how they cheated?
How they cheated.
Okay, how they cheated, I think it is unprecedented. I don't think anybody in college has ever been caught sending people to other, college games and filming from the sideline. So I just think they should have some kind of ban going or some kind of discipline going for. I get it. Some of these kids wasn't on the team, but a lot of these kids was on the team, and the coach was a part of it. And that's
what I'm getting at.
Now they're head coach. Yeah.
Right. Now they're head coach. Right. He was our OC, and now he the head coach or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, dog, they should get a postseason ban for sure. Again, they
should set a standard. You know what I'm saying? They could they set a standard and really come down heavy because this is unprecedented. This hasn't happened before.
Right. And I'm like, all that vacating wins and stuff like that I ain't never agree with that.
That's just slapping them on the hand.
Right. I watched the game. I know who won. Like, you can't tell me Michigan didn't win last year. I watched it. Yeah. I don't care nothing about that right there because guess what? They got the trophy. Just like, not to go off on a tangent, but like took OJ Heisman. I watched that. I seen the film. He still was the best player in college. I don't care what he did. So I think they need to punish him going forward. But I don't know if they're going to do that because when's the last time they actually gave somebody a real penalty?
No.
What's the last program to really get a who's the last team to receive a postseason ban?
Oh God.
I don't remember.
It had to be a team that wasn't in contention.
USC, maybe.
Did they? They got one?
Did they get one?
I don't know. I know they ain't been back since Pete. So let me see. I don't know.
God, hey, stat guy. You in the comments, man. Let me know the last Power 5.
Zach Johnson said USC. He got a question mark about USC too.
Did USC get a ban though, Zach?
I think they might have.
Ole Miss has the 14th. Oh, okay. I thought you was about to say. Shout out to Garrett Bowler for the super chat. Ole Miss has the 14th toughest schedule. Mizzou 15th. The Lane Train and Dwinkowitz will with 2 losses each. Do they deserve a playoff spot? With 2 losses, I can see an SEC team with 2 losses making the playoffs.
Say USC got the death penalty. I'm sorry.
USC did not get the death penalty.
They did.
I was just saying that we had in the comment. It was USC fan.
SMU got the death penalty.
We know that. We talking about the last team that got a bowl.
Who's the last team that got a postseason ban? I'd say it's got to be a team that ain't no contender because ain't none contenders was in no. You know what? Hold on.
Arizona State.
Oh yeah,
when Herm Edwards was there,
stuff like that. But as far as like real contender teams are taking away championships or whatever, taking away. They took away Reddy's Heisman and all that bullshit.
Yeah,
we watched them win those games. Like I heard you saying as I was going to the restroom. Thank you for stepping in.
Did they get a bowl ban? Did they get a bowl ban?
Did USC get a bowl ban from
They got a lot of scholarships taken away for a few years.
That's what I think they've been doing here in the last
yes.
I think in the last 5 years or so, they've been taking scholarships.
That bowl ban cost money. Take money
Kentucky
away.
got some vacated wins. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But who's had a postseason ban?
I just pulled it up.
I want to say USC. Yeah.
It is. Let's see.
Oh, Big Bumbo says, yeah, they got a bowl ban at USC.
Yeah, I won that trivia.
You did.
So did. But I'm looking at ASU.
Okay, Arizona State
had a 1-year bowl ban.
See, you know why we didn't know, Coach? Because they don't never make the bowl.
You're right. You're exactly right. Because they never make it.
No contender.
Exactly.
Let's see if anybody else. Let's see. Miami.
That guy say Kentucky did receive 2-year bowl ban for what?
Just received.
Yeah,
just received.
They just got it.
I didn't see that they got a bowl ban. I knew that they were vacating wins and stuff from the last couple of years. I didn't think they were moving forward with the bowl ban.
That guy said they got 2 years.
So what actually I don't know exactly what they did.
Not that.
Oh, okay. So Zach said it could have been the Miami Hurricanes after the scandal with old boy that was giving out all the money and stuff. Did they get a bowl ban?
Oh, yeah.
I wish my brother was up right now.
What is like 04 or something like that? 03, 04?
Ask that question again.
About the postseason. The last team to receive a postseason ban in college football.
True.
Miami Hurricanes.
Like moving forward type of shit.
Like for instance, that because the
I
thing
think
we was talking
Arizona
about
State with Herm Edwards, they didn't get
was
to
the
go to
last
bowl
one.
games, even if they could. But before that, I don't really remember.
God, it's been that long.
Yeah, like so I guess somebody who could have made it and couldn't go because of the ban. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Right.
Okay, Herm Edwards is just at ASU, so okay.
Yeah.
They the most recent. Yeah. Wait,
But
man,
they weren't bowl but they weren't bowl eligible though, right?
No,
But yeah,
that also. Yeah, but that also
question.
kind of coincides with each other. Whenever you get probation and they're taking bowls away from you, usually kids stop going there too. You know what I mean?
Miami did a self-imposed. See, that's the difference.
Yes.
There's been some teams that self-imposed postseason play, and they did 2 straight. I want to say in 2011, 2012, Miami did a self-imposed, but the NCAA themselves saying that they can't go to a bowl. Arizona State has to be the only one. Because I just don't think they have any teeth anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like
no,
so I don't
know.
I don't think Michigan.
The other thing I was going to say about Michigan, I don't know what their plan is here. I don't see the NCAA being able to enforce a damn thing against Michigan State or against Michigan.
Like I think they're gonna vacate some wins. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna vacate any win that Connor Stallions or whatever the dude name is was a part of. They're gonna vacate the win or something like that. But Michigan ain't gonna stop saying they won the championship.
Sharon Moore deleting text messages, I guess, could matter. But
he needed to. Did you see the text messages? They wasn't about cheating, but he needed to delete them though.
Are we talking midnight mail shit? Are we talking midnight mail kind of shit?
Yes. Him and Connor Stallions. Let's just say they're a different kind of late night person.
Oh, I'm gonna have to see this now.
No, you got it. I'm gonna find it and send it to you on Twitter.
So here's my question, guys: is where did all this? I mean, it was like this fire was out, and it was just smoking. How did the fire get lit back up?
About
That's
Michigan?
a good question. Yeah. Good question.
Somebody from Ohio State tapping on the door. Hey! What happened to that Michigan investigation? By the way.
But you know,
guy. So hold on, real quick for just stat guy. Where is your research showing that Texas has more guys returning as starters, especially than Oklahoma does? Just he keeps saying that, and he's even sending it to me on text messages. Oklahoma has more defensive returning talent than anybody in the SEC, and they're number 2.
Don't let that be true. It's over.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
So we talking production or starters? That's 2 different questions. I don't know.
Production. I think starters is also they got more starters coming back too.
Okay, I don't know. Those are I get those
started games. Yeah,
I get those from Stat.
Yeah, I think Stat's a little off. And 247. Stats. I don't know. Man. I don't know.
I don't know. That's my guy.
Returning production.
For it.
Okay.
Now production may be different because you played more people. I think you played more people on the defense in the rotation because rotation counts for production. But starters, I haven't looked it up. But
you got to see a lot of these. They changed a lot of this returning production stuff though. That if you were a starter somewhere else, they're counting that as returning production as well.
Right. That's what I say. Returning production. Y'all
Texas ends up with
if you're in the rotation, it's gonna be counted in. So they got 4 players playing.
So they got more returning production, but y'all got more returning starters.
Right. It's a difference.
I don't know. I'm asking.
I'm saying that is a difference.
They have more returning starters because of the guys that they've brought in. But
so you're saying they have more starts
in the country?
Okay. Okay, so you're saying the guys that they brought in on defense started somewhere else, and they count
like Makuba and the other guy,
Right. So basically, like flip flopping, like your old line has more starts than everybody else, and they have more starts on defense. Even though they came from somewhere else. That's what. I got you.
Right.
I'm trying, man. Like I say, it's a lot of different categories. Return to production, starters, all that kind of stuff. It's different stuff. Again, I don't be looking all that up. To be honest with you, that be stat guy. Hey, that's an interesting stat. But I don't think Michigan. I don't think Michigan is getting much of anything. To be honest with you, Coach.
Yeah, and then to go back to that, that's where I was just trying to answer that question. We don't have to stay there.
Yeah,
The Michigan stuff. I don't see how you do. Here's the other thing. If Sharon gets some kind of, I could see him getting his little, they were giving in season suspensions to Harbaugh last year, which was fairly unprecedented, I would say. Usually that shit comes way down the line for these guys, when they do something like that, right?
So all of that was NCAA. That wasn't any self-imposed.
Some of it was they did self-impose it, but the Big Ten also had something to do with that as well.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
All I was saying is he's now gone. A lot of those players, Connor Stallions is gone. He stepped down immediately whenever all that kind of surfaced last year. Sharon was, you're talking about the text messages and whatever, and I'm excited to find out about this text message. But I would tell you that, and in what way, I don't like the bowl ban stuff or vacating wins and stuff, because to me, you're punishing these players for stuff that the grown-ups did, right? That the guys in charge were at least running. I've never been a huge fan of that anyway. I didn't like the idea of, look, Reggie Bush, whether he knew about the house or not, whenever he was at USC, the guy was
saying cheat, win the chip, then quit.
Unless you can get away with it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's the only reason why Harbaugh can't get punished, because he quit after winning the chip. You know what I'm saying? And
but he already has been punished to an extent, though, right? I mean, he already was.
Is he? I don't know, dog. I get it. They did suspend him, but that was, again, I think that was more Big Ten than the NCAA. I don't know what the NCAA actually did with Jim Harbaugh.
It seems like they passed the buck to the Big Ten because they knew they didn't have any damn teeth.
Right. So I don't think they're gonna do. I don't think they're gonna do anything now.
Busy with their own fucking problems with the Congress, right now.
I don't think they're gonna do nothing, man. And it's all kind of stuff going on in Michigan. Mel Tucker suing Michigan State, saying they didn't give him due process.
It didn't feel like they did.
he might have a shot.
Right. The Midnight Mel stuff is what it is. If they knew about that when in fact, that stuff had been going on when he was already. They knew about that when they gave him that big contract extension. They held on to it so that they could not pay him the money that they promised him after winning 11 games that year.
Right. That's what I'm saying, dog. That's what I'm saying.
He
might have a case.
Right. But I would tell you that
because they that's a lot of money on the table.
And I think it sucks that they were doing what that, but I also know that there was other programs that were conspiring together to spy on their stuff as well. Multiple programs in the Big Ten. We all know that. How many times have I heard you guys say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying in the SEC?
There you go.
Hey, man. I don't know, man, but you get caught holding the playbook.
Yeah, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Right. Well,
hey, but I had never seen someone take it to the extent. You actually have a whole nother human being on the sideline.
Right, that's different.
Costume.
That's different right there, though.
That's crazy.
That was crazy stuff. But here's the thing. On that side of it, they insulate, and this happens a lot too. Head coaches are going to insulate themselves in a lot of ways. And Harbaugh insulated himself enough where even though he got what he got out of that deal, him being gone he's gone. Connor Stallions will never work in college football again. That's the punishment that really matters.
True.
Although I don't know, we're trying to hire him in Notre Dame.
He's a former recon Marine.
Get that chip and then fire him.
He wasn't better at being invisible than that as a former recon guy. I struggle with that for Connor.
Well, hey man, maybe he had lost his touch. He had been out the game.
He certainly had lost his touch when it came to that shit.
Coach say hire Connor, win the chip, fire him.
West Michigan, what Vegas got them at? 8.5, 9.5?
I think 9.5.
Yeah.
9.5.
But a lot of that has to do with, you say it yourself, the schedule.
Right. And they return a lot of
guys. Let's not pretend it is.
They return a lot. They feel good about Michigan's trenches. That's why, and that's how they play
too.
So, I mean, I don't see him win the Big Ten.
That's why Michigan's going to beat Texas.
This guy's
They're gonna line up and run over them.
Look at Chicken bringing up the balloon.
Shout out to Chicken. Shout out to Chicken.
Chicken.
Hey man, I ain't gonna go off on a tangent, but the balloon show is crazy, though. It's bananas. I watched the last episode. Shawty. That's crazy, though. Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna say this, and we can move back on the football. Talk about a shock to your ego. As you're talking, all you hear is pop, 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 pop.
And a lot of time, you already know why. But yeah.
A shot to the ego for sure. Oh my Lord.
Oh my God, you thought you was a player, boy.
Facts.
So, Jason, let me ask you this, and I know this your show. I hope like I want to ask a question. I want to see like I'm taking over, but someone answered it in the comment, and I just want your honest opinion because I don't think I ever asked you this. Just based off the preseason polls, where would you have OU?
I don't think he had a problem with 16.
I don't necessarily have a problem with where the preseason poll spot is for Oklahoma because they're not coming in as a conference. I don't really, and again, I don't give a shit about the preseason polls, to be honest with you. They don't matter to me.
Great statement there, Jay.
I think that they have a preseason top 25 because they want you to start watching football when it comes on.
Okay.
They can build the games that are early in the season as mattering a lot easier by having a number next to those names. You know, I think that do I think that A&M's a top 25 team? Maybe not. I do know that Notre Dame is, but that game looks a lot better if A&M has, a top 20.
Hey, and Shotty, I'll tell you this. I'll answer where I think OU should be. And I honestly think, and most people are going to disagree with me, but I think they should be either 8 or 9.
That's what someone said in the comments. Someone said 8.
Okay. I think that they're a top 10 team. I don't know that they finished top 10 for sure this year because of their schedule, as you guys
just
said.
Preseason.
But I do think that if they finish where I think they're going to finish, because I believe that they're going to have a top 2 or 3 defense in the whole country. I do believe that. They have enough depth in the trenches on that side of the ball that I don't think that Jackson Arnold has to go out there and win the Heisman Trophy for them to make a playoff run. Coach says this all the time. If they don't score any, you don't got to score many.
True.
So if you go out there and you can shut down the teams that you're playing against, Jackson Arnold can be serviceable and not spectacular, just not turn the football over, and they can walk into the college football playoff. Because again, Oklahoma offense, there's not a ton of changes coming to the room. I know you've got a new coordinator. This guy was there last year working with these guys. They're not making a bunch of big changes there as far as the scheme is concerned at all, as a matter of fact. In fact, I wish they were changing a few more things the more I hear about it. In that situation, though, I don't believe that DG was going to be necessarily a better quarterback for them this season. The upside for Jackson Arnold is certainly higher. DG's been around longer, and you can say he's won a lot of games. But he's not going to make throws that he can't make throws that Jackson can make that don't, you know what I'm saying? Those deep balls, those short.
Don't he have a chance to come to all-time passer this year in NCAA history?
Yeah, but this is year 7 for him, Charlie. This is year 7.
I was just throwing it out there.
Yeah, and I'm not saying anything. I love Dylan Gabriel. First off, I'm not hating on Dylan. He could have come back. They told him he could come back. He didn't want to compete with Jackson Arnold. I think that says something about it as well. We can judge. It's funny to me that a lot of times we'll judge bowl games if it suits whatever our narrative may be. I'm not going to judge it because it suits my narrative to tell you that Jackson's a good player. The thing I would tell you about the turnover stuff with him is what we saw going into the spring game, and I wouldn't say a ton about spring games, is he was throwing balls away rather than trying to fit them into certain places. His pocket presence was really good. He would have rather taken a sack in those situations than what we saw him, than try to fit something into a small window and getting the ball turned over. I would also tell you that I think that you have to be willing to throw some interceptions to be really good too. It's just a matter of when you throw them sometimes, right? I think that you need to not turn the ball over in bad situation.
Right, stupid.
What?
Whoa. Damn screen, coach. You trying to get me in trouble, man?
I didn't.
Coach did it. Coach did that.
Oh,
Coach put
okay.
that on the screen and left it there. Don't do that.
I just seeing if you're keeping an eye on it.
I expect something like that from chicken.
Shit. Come on.
Right. That's right.
I expect something like that from my boy Chicken.
I think not wanting to compete. I think a lot of K-State fans, including Nidia, have said that that's why Will Howard left for OU. And I think sometimes they leave, even if they're invited to stay or whatever. They're thinking, I was the starter. I won 10 games. I threw for 4,000 yards. Why am I competing? That's the question. And they like
ego.
Right. They like, I thought I was your guy, but apparently I'm not. So I'm gonna hit the portal type deal. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'd say that there's always a little more context than what we would say to that. And even what I just said, first and foremost, I don't know that Dylan wasn't wanting to compete because he didn't think he was going to win as much as maybe he knew that for Oklahoma's sake, Jackson is out the fucking door if Dylan is the starting quarterback this year. He's talked about how much it sucked being last year.
To that point, I think you're right, because, and that's why I think coaches such as Brent Venables, such as, a K-State coach says, hey, when going into the spring, it's a competition, when in fact, it probably wouldn't have been a competition for the coaches, but you have to say that it's a competition so people don't leave. Like going into the spring last year, Kirby told you it was a competition between Vandegrift and Beck. It wasn't a competition. Beck was always going to be the dude, but he was trying to keep him so he could have a backup. Well, they playing chess, and I think sometimes, I'm not saying this is what Dylan did, but sometimes they like, come on, dog. Like,
well, you've got a bunch of money on the line for you over there at in a good situation if you're Dylan.
Right. And he's like, I can go somewhere where I don't have to compete.
Where none of that shit matters.
Where, because like I said, again, it's like, hey, I just did this right here for you. I gave you 10 games. I gave you 4,000 yards. I gave you a top 5 offense. And then you telling me going into the spring, regardless of why you telling me this, you're telling me it's a competition. He could have been like, I don't think that's cool. So, and Brett was like, we want you, dog. And he probably was gonna start. I bet you. First game, second game, Tennessee maybe he was gonna start DG. I think, but he couldn't say that because, like you say, then if he says that, Jackson Arnold's like, "What? Oh, you told me I was gonna be able to compete, dog." Like, so now Jackson Arnold gone. Coaches have to play these mind games so they can keep as many people on the roster as they can.
Right. No, and I agree with that part of it too. But I also think that. I think that there's two sides of it. Here's one thing I know. As far as floor is concerned, and talent, it's not really close between Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Arnold. It's just not. And I think Elite 11 winner, National High School Player of the Year, 3-star from Hawaii. There's a difference, right? Now, that 3-star from Hawaii is a baller too. And there's a lot of times you can't quantify what guys like that mean to football teams, as we would say with, you guys, your national championship years came with a walk-on. I get it. It matters. Those things matter more. But the other thing I would say is that we are seeing things out of Jackson. I think we saw things out of Jackson even in that bowl loss that made you think, okay, yeah, he's ready, right? You're going to go through your licks. You guys were, I think you had questions about Carson Beck coming in, but you weren't too worried about Carson Beck, right? I think that's how Oklahoma fans feel. There's a reason why he's at Oklahoma, right?
I can tell you,
Beck had been in the program for 3 years too now.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I can tell you from the Respect the Hedges point of view, I pretty much was the only one that didn't have questions. I can say legit, they was questioning, and for good reason, and for good reason, because he came in 2022 in a game or two, or started or something like that. Maybe it was 2021. I don't remember which one it was, but 2021, he looked against UAB. He looked kind of nervous or whatever, and then Stetson came back in, and it wasn't because Stetson was playing bad. They was literally just trying to, I guess, get him some reps or whatever. But to Shawty's point, I wasn't worried because of the 3 years in the program. Like you said, like the stuff that you said about Jackson from high school. Like I watched him in high school. I watched him in live practices at Georgia. He had been in the program for 3 years. And I'm like, he's technically a senior, even though he's a first-year starter. So that's why I wasn't worried. But I can tell you it was legit concern coming from Respect the Hedges for sure.
Sure. Well, until you've seen him do it necessarily, you're not sure. Yeah, but we have seen him make throws that we never saw. In one game, we saw him make throws that we never saw Dylan make last year.
Right.
He had almost 400 passing yards and a couple of touchdowns.
Well, it didn't surprise me like how
spectacular throw. By the way,
it didn't surprise me how a lot of the stuff Brent Venables does, he does similar to how Dabo does stuff.
Sure.
And when Dylan left, I didn't think that was a knock on Dylan, to be honest with you. This is kind of, I mean, Dabo, and I don't know if Brent, I have to see more to say that Brent has the same exact philosophy, but Dabo's pretty much you 3 years and done. That's, you get 3 years, and regardless, because if you're the guy, you're going.
Brent actually made sure to reiterate that he was welcome to come back to the team, and
Kelly Bryant was welcome to come. Kelly Bryant was welcome to come back.
I understand that too. But I also think that it felt like to me, just as somebody looking at it closely, it felt to me like he was almost thinking, yeah, with his experience, we would love to have him come back, because of the same reason a lot of us said we'd love to have him come back. You remember what I was saying? We're going to the SEC. Right.
I think that's why Dan Lanning jumped on him, because instead of starting Dante, even though I think he probably was already working on Dante Moore, he was like, going into the Big Ten, I'd rather have an experience.
Dante Moore had more of a season.
He's got more of a
UCLA throwing a bunch of interceptions. Well,
that's true, but the upside is there though.
Sure,
man. The upside.
Hey, I watched that kid in person at the All-American game. He's the truth. Dante Moore's the truth. No doubt about that.
Right. And it just could be the system possibly. But I don't think he wanted Dante Moore and his so-called upside going into the first year of the Big Ten.
Sure. No, I agree with that.
So, like I said, I don't know if Brent Venables has that same exact philosophy, because I haven't seen it long enough.
Thank God he doesn't have all the same exact philosophies as that.
Right, because right. I mean, because sometimes you need that fifth year, that fourth year. I mean, sometimes it's just like that. So we shall see. We know he's different in the portal, things of that nature.
Who's calling me passive aggressive here? Boomer 129. Passive aggressive? Are you shitting me? Aggressive, maybe, not passive.
I was about to say, what's passive about?
There ain't no passive aggressive shit here. I'm not trying to call anybody out in that comment section, by the way, but y'all settle y'all's asses down.
Speaking of Clemson, coach, who you got in the ACC?
Clemson.
Okay, that's what I got. Shaw, you got Clemson too, right? Jason, who you got? Miami, Clemson, Florida State.
Man, I have to pick one of them three. I think I'll take the field on all three of them.
So you think more maybe Louisville or NC State or VTech, huh?
NC State, yeah, I do.
I can see.
I kind of like NC State.
NC State, yeah, I see NC State.
I like NC State, but when I did they preview,
I did on your show. I'm pretty sure, right? I think that's what I picked on your show.
I know you mentioned, but I can't remember who you actually picked. But when I did the preview and me and Stat was researching, what I didn't know is NC State has only had one 10-win season ever.
8 and 9.
Hey, maybe Sark should go coach there.
Hey, but he doing it with a lot less.
I was about to say he ain't got the talent that, what I'm saying.
Yeah,
None of those. Right. They almost had 10 last year, but they lost the bowl game. They last time they had 10 when they had Torrey Hope.
Yeah.
He gonna get you 8 or 9 wins consistently.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right, but it is NC State, so it ain't like you getting no 4 and 5 stars at NC State. He's literally gonna have to win that thing with a whole bunch of 3 stars if he do it.
Absolutely.
But that conference wide open now. You know, with the way that's going now, it's wide open.
And like Jason said, I'm telling you, VTech is going to beat.
They got a lot of guys coming back, and they were a pain in the ass last year with those guys.
I'm gonna tell you this, man.
I like Louisville.
Listen, outside of in-game coaching, because I haven't seen it yet, but the roster, the first 22, 11 on offense, 11 on defense, Syracuse can give people problems. I'm telling you that. Fran ain't never coached, so I can't say he gonna go out here and win no conference or nothing, but he gonna beat somebody and cause them not to go to the ACC. I can tell you that, and I think that for sure they got 8 wins coming their way because, again, like I said on the show the other day, Kyle McCord doesn't have any pressure on him at all. And
That's
he's
true.
gonna be able to play free and clear. Last time Virginia Tech was
good. I was thinking about Miami too, but somebody on here definitely don't like Miami. I don't want to get him started. But
I don't like. It's not Miami that I don't like. It's Mario Cristobal that I don't like. I don't trust him.
Tomato.
Miami is a good pick. I mean, you can't really talent wise. You definitely can't argue with the Miami pick. But I was talking to my brother Sunday. He's worried about that Florida game to start out just because that's
what they open up with.
Yeah. First Saturday, first game. He was like, man. And then he also, listen, not for nothing, he talks like Jason. He said Mario Cristobal. He said Mario Cristobal is out of excuses. He's got the resources. He says he's got, when he first came in,
That's
he was playing with Manny Diaz recruits, but now he's playing with his own recruits. He's like, and I said, what's the floor, bro? He said 10. If they don't win 10 games, Mario need to be gone.
All right, so too, I think when you look at this league and where it is, you can say that FSU is a contender because they've been one, but they're replacing a ton of their best talent is not from a year ago, right? You're assuming that they're going to be pretty good with DJU and the guys that they brought in, right? You got a couple of guys from Alabama. Defensively, they lost their best players there too. I don't know what I think. We've talked enough about FSU. Clemson, they've been on a downward trend. They went from 10-9-8.
No, Lord, you got to make stat night. You got to make stat night.
But it's not wrong, man. The thing is that it was funny to me that Dabo would sit there and say that the guys in the transfer portal weren't good enough to play at Clemson, and they went 8-4. What the fuck? I mean, so whether or not somebody could say that you could say what you want. Yeah. Miami, talent-wise, they are there.
Talent-wise, Miami is the best.
And I think, quarterback-wise, Cam Ward may be that dude. He looks like that dude to me.
Can he replicate what he did at Washington State another year? I think so.
Well, but they weren't great at Washington State. They won some games.
He was, though. But he was. I'm talking about he was good. That's what I'm saying. Can he replicate what he did? You know what I'm saying? So, can somebody clear up how was? Okay, Trojan Fight says, can somebody clear up something? How was Trevor Etienne able to transfer within the ACC? Because he did it in the first portal window. If
that's
in the SEC
window is that rule.
If you do the December window right after the SEC championship, then you can transfer within the conference and play. But if you do it the second window, you cannot transfer within the conference and play. Not that year. You have to sit a year. That's how Etienne was able to do it.
Cam Ward is better than Van Dyke. I think that we all think that right now, but look back 2 years ago, and a lot of people thought Tyler Van Dyke was that cat too.
He was the freshman player of the year in ACC, at least on offense, anyway.
Yeah,
I think Cristobal definitely. I don't know, about his season thing, but I definitely know he handcuffs his quarterbacks. I mean, we saw that with Justin Herbert because he likes to run that very, very pro style offense and not kind of let his quarterback do his thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I guess that's the only question I have, because if he actually lets his offense like Cam Ward be, Cam Ward, it might not be no stopping Miami in the ACC. I'm still picking Clemson, but I'm just saying that's because I ain't seen Mario unleash his quarterbacks yet. So
yeah, he doesn't do that. You said it right. Look at how he was with Justin Herbert. He wouldn't even let that guy go.
Oh,
and he was an unbelievable player in college. He was a top 5 pick in the NFL.
He was clamped in college for sure. So
Clemson
did add a couple of freshman wide receivers, but I think they're gonna be good. But y'all know I don't like counting on freshmen. That's just my thing. I don't like counting on freshmen. I hate it. I hate having to count on freshmen. When they show up, that's great. But having to go into the season,
that says something about your roster. That says something about your roster.
Right.
Yeah, if a freshman comes in and wins the job on a good team, then you know that they're the real deal. But if you're expecting them to come in and be a starter right now, like I look at LSU, if they're gonna be good on the defensive line, Dominic McKinley has to come in and be that guy on the D line.
Right. That's you said it, Jason. Like if you going into the season saying we got 1, 2, 3 at wide receiver, and then the freshman, he's a good guy, but starters are 1, 2, 3, and then game 2 you see the freshman in the start lineup. You like, this dude must be good because they was counting on 1, 2, 3, but apparently he's that good type of deal.
Because you already know what 1, 2, and 3 look like. So if he come in and beat one, it's got to be good. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But if you're touting this guy before he even takes a real snap that he, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's like if you counting on it, like if he ain't good, our room ain't good. Like that's I don't think you want that as an elite program anyway.
So I give you a prime example. That's just like we had the kid. We got the transfer quarterback from Arizona State, and he came in and was able to win the number 2 job. I don't like that because that let me know my backup already went where I need him to be.
Well, the good update from when fall camp. Now that's what it was all told us. Now from fall camp, he was taking 4th team reps. So
I like that, and that's cool.
right. You don't want him to come in and be like he's better than Gunner Stockton already.
Not a guy that I don't have that program 2-3 years.
Right. And the thing is, now I will say that the reports I heard the last 2 practices is Ryan Puglisi's making a move.
Now I want to hear that too. I want to hear that.
Making a move.
Because he should be the future. And that's kind of like a Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Arnold kind of thing. When you see the potential and you just know this kid is better and you got an older kid, that's when you got to pull the trigger. You know what I'm saying? You just got to pull the trigger on the future.
But
just like Clemson did with Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence. Right.
And I was telling I want to say I was telling Stat about it. I might have been telling my brother, but like when you expect these players to be who they're supposed to be and you recruit that way, it throws your timing off if they don't end up that way. Like I can tell you whether Brent Venables tell you or not, they're expecting Jackson to be drafted after junior year. Because if he's not, that's going to be a problem keeping Michael Hawkins. You know what I'm saying? Like if he has to come back for a 4th year, Michael like, wait a minute, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's my time. You know what I'm saying? But that's with anything. Like that'll throw our DBs off. I was telling my boy about our secondary. We recruit 3 of the top 10 corners 2 years in a row. If they don't stay on schedule, that's gonna hurt recruiting. Because if they have to stay longer, then they like now the next 5-star like, nah, dog, you still got that dude over there.
Well, and I would say that's one of the things that Lincoln does, or he did at Oklahoma for sure, that he's like an every other year guy when it comes to recruiting those.
But they
guys.
Panned out though. They panned out. So that's what I'm saying. They have to pan out and stay on schedule.
He's missing the boat at USC right now doing it that way in some instances. But Oklahoma has to continue doing it the way they are so far. And because they're getting good guys, and they've got a guy in the 26 class already committed as well.
Right, got to pan out.
It's got to pan out that way for it to work. If Jackson's not done being the starting quarterback at the end of 2025, yeah, you're right. Michael Hawkins,
that throws a wrench in everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like you say, these guys, the Juju Trojan fight, bro. Y'all and Julian Lewis, man. Y'all should be like we was with Jaden Perlotti, man. Like good linebacker, but he was on the flip watch for like a year. We just like, hey, man, It's making
Hey,
sense, dog.
speaking of Christian ball, hey coach, let me not coach I, but Coach Roy, let me ask you a question. What this is your head coach's, he's going into his 3rd year. What was his record his first year?
Oh shit.
He's won 10 games twice, by the way.
I want to say he won 9
The first year?
the first year, and then he's won 10.
So this year he needs
9, 10. It may
So
he
then-
may have two 10. No, it was two. His
10 and
first
2,
year,
10 and 2, and 10 and 3 both
Yeah.
years, right?
10 and 3.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's tough.
correct.
He don't set a tough standard. That's a pretty tough
Yeah.
standard.
No,
just
he's
stay up-
got a.
So he got to make the playoff this year.
Well, I say that he's not going to get fired, guys.
Well, I mean, no, I'm sorry. I'm just saying it's for
But-
you to think that your program is still on an upward trajectory.
But we're still. I think we are. I do. I think we're still on an upward trajectory. But hell, we're going to find out. A lot. Some of the tradition that goes with Notre Dame is, a lot of their coaches that have won championships have done it in year 3. And so this, all the Notre Dame fans are like, boy, he better win it this year. He better win it this year. But again,
But 10 wins probably get you in, though, right?
Oh yes, it gets you.
For
It
sure.
gets you. That's not a coach, you can act like it's not. It is. It ain't. It's Notre freaking Dame.
Right. 10 wins is getting you in the 12 team
No
playoff.
shit.
10 wins had y'all on the border of the playoffs each time. the 14 playoffs. So 10 wins, I highly doubt.
9 and 3.
Notre Dame.
No. 10 and 2.
well, it depends on who we lose to, guys. Those 2 wins depends
Okay.
on who we lose to.
You might console me on it now. Because I guess, but I just don't. The possible losses, they coming from decent teams. I ain't gonna say better teams, decent teams. But if y'all lose to like a,
Yeah, if we lose to Illinois or
Yeah,
whoever.
losing to Georgia Tech or somebody like that this year.
a bad loss at home for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if Illinois is at home and you lose to Illinois at home,
Or losing any time to, that first year when they lost to freaking Marshall wasn't great.
Marshall.
Oh, yeah. But that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's a great example of what we were talking about. I mean, you lose to Marshall and you lose to who was the other one? There was another one in there that was just atrocious.
Coach, I got y'all playing Penn State.
What's
I got
that?
y'all numbers. At the end of the year, I got y'all being number 6 playing Penn State in the first round. They're gonna be 11.
That's a good matchup for a first round too.
You know what? I like that. I like the 5 or 6 spot is what I like. If we could end up in,
They would get
5
that
or
game
6.
at home too.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be
Hold
a
on.
good
I'll
one
pull
for us.
up pull up that bracket that we had the other day. Give me 1 second.
Hey, while he's pulling that up, what are y'all's thoughts on Florida, guys?
I think Florida got talent like they always have talent. I think the jury's out on Sunbelt in the SEC, that is. Of course, he did what he did before he got to the SEC. I think they could be better this year, but have a similar record, if not worse. Because of the schedule. Yeah.
That's why it's gonna happen because of the schedule. That's my only knock on Florida. Just what their program is right now with the particular schedule they have is not a good look. Any other year, I could see them winning based off of what they have. I could see them winning maybe 7, 8 games.
I agree.
And the thing is, DJ Latway got the talent, but the schedule flips next year, and they still play the same teams. You see what I'm saying? So if those teams don't take a
More of those
decline,
games on the road actually next year too.
oh yeah, I see. I didn't even think about that, but like DJ Latway could be like what everybody thinks he is, and they still be an 8-1
but
team.
still not.
That's fine,
right.
but if they
they're going to upset somebody.
Though. DJ Latway's not going to be there, so I don't think. I think he's got to lose. He's got to win less than 5 to get fired. If you ask me. even as crazy as they are down in.
I was about to say, I don't know. I think 6-6 get that dude out the door. I'm not saying they going 6-6.
Vegas got them at 5.5.
If they win 6 games and that's it, and they lose again, like Coach said about Notre Dame, especially if they take in, let's say they don't, I'm not saying this is happening, but let's say they don't beat any of the Florida schools. And they lose to Georgia. And they lose to LSU. Like
they got UCF too, right?
Right. They got Florida State, UCF, Miami. You know what I'm saying? If they lose, and then let's say Tennessee, let's say they beat UCF. But they lose to Florida State, Miami, Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee. Like, bro, like those are all the people that they don't like. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they go 6-6. I don't know if he holding on that job. No.
You know, Jimmy, just
based on how he lose.
Right.
Jimmy, just a response to Notre Dame having the 47th strength of schedule. I will agree with you. It's a pretty crappy schedule. But I'll tell you this, with 2 losses, they sure like a lot of money coming in, and Notre Dame's going to bring a lot of money. So
right,
we're probably still going to get in.
That's a fact.
Right. Mars said, could Florida upset Ole Miss at the end? I think so. If Billy doesn't get fired, I think they can. They get them at home at the Swamp. It's the last game. And I think Ole Miss could be riding a high. And especially when it's your first year riding a high and you might be picked, you know what I'm saying? It's that game. I think they got a chance to beat. I think they got the talent to beat Ole Miss. But they might.
I'm telling you, they got a chance to upset some people.
They might be mentally beat down too. So
yeah, that's true.
So I don't know.
It's gonna be tough for Florida, man. It's gonna be a rough season for them.
Right, like I say, like talent is there. I'm not saying it's like no Urban Meyer type talent, but they do have talent. But just that, God, every week, dog, every week. Like I say, UCF is your break. That's your break. UCF. Don't let them fool around and beat you.
And that's one. If it would have been in-state, you just never know how it's gonna go. Would have been an in-state school.
Right, and KJ Jefferson there, I'm not saying he's a great different, but he knows the SEC, so it's not like that game's going to be new to him. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he's an SEC starting caliber quarterback.
Yeah, right. He's good. He's good at UCF. That there are people that are sleeping on UCF in the Big 12 this year. Might be.
I think UCF is kind of like a VTech in the ACC type deal. You know what I'm saying? Like they could.
I think so too. I would tell you that I believe in K-State right now. Mm-hmm. And I also, and after that, I would tell you Utah. But
I think if Cam Rising, for sure, if Cam Rising
Utah, yes, Cam Rising that's the given. If they're going to win, Cam Rising is going to be there.
He got it.
I would tell you that Iowa State and UCF are the next teams for me, along with KU. Which, by the way, Jason Spangler's in it. Are you talking national championships there, Spangler?
I think he was talking Big 12, dog. Let's give him a bit.
I don't know about all of that.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he was talking Big 12 championship.
Fair enough. Spangler, welcome into the show, by the way. I appreciate it. And hey, good to see you, Stat. Thanks for coming in. I'll talk to you later.
Ryman says, I don't see an undefeated Big 12 champ. I don't see an undefeated.
Oh, no.
Anybody champ.
Yeah. The Big 12 champ might have 3 losses.
It's true, but I'm gonna say like SEC, ACC, Big 10. I think.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like I'm really leaning towards a 3-way tie in the SEC, like 11-1, dog. Like I can see, I don't see anybody. I can't see anybody going 12-0 with in. Nah, but if there is a team, like I say, maybe Ole Miss, but I think they could be got by Florida, or they could lose to Georgia. I mean, now I think I'm.
I don't think so. I don't think Ole Miss is going undefeated either. But let's just to answer the question really quick that we had up earlier. How does the 12-team playoff work?
Okay.
Here's the bracket that we have in front of us. Now you obviously have the 1 through 4. These are going to be essentially, well, they're the highest ranked conference champions from either the Power 4 which is probably going to be what it is. Almost.
I was about to say it'll be hard for us to see
could see that. Well, I think that if you had a 9-3 Big 12 champion and you had an undefeated
11-1. Oh yeah, like a Liberty that went.
You might get a Liberty that gets. Right. I mean, think about the year that Cincinnati made the playoff.
When it comes to the BCS standing, they might be higher in the AP, but when it comes to the BCS, they probably won't be in the top. Higher.
You had Cincinnati that made it into the 14 playoff.
So they're doing like the ranking. They're still going to have the CFP rankings like they did every year. And last year, Liberty was ranked higher than everybody, other than OU and Texas. Like
I thought you said they would be higher ranked than a conference champion.
So technically, yes. So listen. If they go into the conference championship week ranked higher than the Big 12, let's say the Big 12 champion has 3 losses going into the championship, so they end up 10-3. If Liberty is 12-0 and then wins their Sun Belt, they probably in the CFP rankings
or like Tulsa
or Tulsa or something. Yeah, they will be ranked higher.
Facts.
I think so. I think they would. I mean, because we saw it last year. Like I say, we saw it last year.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Like if Oklahoma State had won the Big 12 championship, Liberty was ranked like several spots higher than them. So yes, because they lost 3 games last year.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, I ain't saying it should. I'm just saying, I'm saying it could. But you would think that those top 4 spots go to the Power 4 champions. The 5th spot goes to either Notre Dame or the G5 guys, depending on who's ranked higher. Again, that's what it's going to depend on. So
Spangler, I'm saying I don't necessarily think that I think that you could have a 3-loss. I wouldn't be that surprised if you had 2 3-loss teams making it to the championship game. But I do, what you're saying here is Utah has a lighter Big 12 schedule, and so does KU in comparison to, say, Oklahoma State or, even Kansas State, I would say.
That's what I thought. I thought it went like how Ryman Lemon said. That's how I thought it went. Regardless of the rank.
It's not.
No.
It's not.
No.
I got it.
Because they haven't officially went to exactly. They still calling. I mean, now the Pac-12 ain't the Pac-12. They calling them Pac-2, but they're saying the 4 highest conferences, and they're counting like the Sun Belt and
everybody, all the group of 6.
To Jimmy,
5.
Now to Jimmy, you won't see 2 G5 champions in the top 4. That's because they've never ranked them.
Don't get it twisted. That's what they want at ESPN and Fox. You know that shit.
because the people are eat it like the ratings will be high. That's why.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Now, again, if both of the teams from like a ACC or a Big 12 have 3 losses,
right?
I mean, it's not impossible that the Sun Belt and the American champion be right. It's not impossible.
Just like it's not impossible that they'd leave out a 10-2 Notre Dame team, but we know the truth.
Right. If they're higher ranked, then yes, that's what their rules say, Jimmy. If they're higher ranked after going into the championship week and out of the championship game, then yes, we could technically see Big 10, SEC, Sun Belt, and American.
Now I'll tell you what, if we don't like these preseason rankings, watch toward the end of the year how these rankings gonna start getting how the foolishness come in. If you don't like it now, man, the last 2-3 weeks of the season,
they start telegraphing their passes right then.
Right. And see, that's one of the reasons why I'm not a big preseason fan, because I know the preseason rankings, even though they say it doesn't, it has something to do with when because preseason rankings. So right now, for instance, if you take a lower ranked team, who's ranked? Michigan's ranked lower than Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So immediately Michigan's gonna shoot up the charts if they beat Texas because it's a ranked win. But if you're not looking at the AP at all, that's what you're telling me. Then in week 7, when they come out with the first CFP, or week 8, whatever it is, you can't tell me Michigan got a ranked win because you said that you wasn't looking at the AP poll. How you know they got a ranked win? Because ain't nobody ranked. That's what you telling me. But you showing me something different.
Spangler says, please, I would love to play in the Sun Belt team in the first round of the playoffs. Well, guess what? You ain't. Here's the deal. In order for the Big 12 champion to play the Sun Belt team, they're gonna have to make it to the semifinal for you to do that.
Yeah,
Right.
you get a bye in the first round.
Because that's Notre
Right.
Dame's game. That's Notre Dame's first round game, or your second SEC
Like that,
team.
I was about to say, yeah.
That get that 5 seed.
Jimmy Lee says South Alabama Jazz coming for everything. I mean, technically, they could. I'm just saying.
Oh, more than likely.
But to Shawty's point,
is it won't be. It'll be the back end of it that people are bitching about so much, and because that, with 4, it's easy to say, okay, well, that 5th one, the 5th and 6th teams are always going to feel like they got screwed, right? But it was never as egregious as last year. Never. And it very well could have been any number of times out of 10 playoffs, right?
Right.
What I would tell you is that the back end of it, people will care less because you're not going to have conference champions at the back end.
Yeah. Well, it's always 13 and 14 to say they better than 11 and 12. That's what they're gonna try to say.
But we're not
anyway.
talking conference champions again.
Right.
Conference champions like we would have been we were with Florida State.
But to Shawty's point about the G5 being at that 4th spot over a P4, I think it has to be a situation like you described, Jason. The Big 12 or the ACC, both teams in the championship game have to have 3 losses. Because if one of them is like 10-2, then they win. I don't know if I think they'll figure out a way to jump the G5 team at the end.
How many rounds are home games and not neutral sites? Just the
first round.
Just the opening round.
8 versus 9, 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, and 7 versus 10. Everything else is in in one of the New Year's 6 bowl games.
That could be a wild deal. But let's just to finish what we were saying. So it's the top 4 conference champions get a bye in that opening round. 5, 6, 7, and 8 will play host to 9, 10, 11, and 12 in the first round, the actual first round of games being played, which is you're seeing there 7, 10, 6, 11, 5, 12, 8, 9. So that's where you're going to see that. Imagine FSU getting left out at number 13 this year.
Jimmy Lee on fire.
They wouldn't have as much of an argument at that point, but they would surely lose their shit.
I can tell you like this. I can tell you that. Listen. If they don't make it to the ACC championship,
they're not going. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah,
I got Miami and
Clemson and Florida State coming.
Okay. See, I got Miami and Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, look, and maybe that happens, right? Maybe that ends up happening. I don't know that I don't see a clear cut best team in that league at all.
No.
So
I'm with you.
Yeah.
On that deal. So I mean, it is what it is.
I think we talked about it. Well, maybe it was the Big 12 that has the most parity.
Yeah, we talked during the Big 12. They got the most parity. I definitely think that. I personally think there's 6 teams, if not more, that can win that league for sure.
Yeah,
I think so.
Agreed.
I think so for real though.
Benji says I'd rather play in the first round than have a bye week. Schools with that bye week have a long layover.
Ooh.
Yeah. I don't think that's terrible.
You could be banged. You could be banged up. You might need it for injuries too.
I was just about to say that, Sean. I think it depends on which team you are. Because if you got a lot of competitive depth, then maybe you don't mind playing that first round. But if you don't have competitive depth and you relying on that first 22, you want that week off.
USCJ, shout out to USCJ. What's up, my man?
What up, Jay? What's going on, man? Lost in the sauce.
You're welcome, Chief.
And also, I'm gonna tell you what, depending on who you are, a lot of coaches want that extra week to prepare for one team.
Right. Because it's win or go home, right? You gotta get that. And sometimes you gotta get that first monkey off your back. And once you get that first one, you feeling good now. So
true.
I don't know. I think some teams can handle that that play through week, but I don't think none of the coaches want it.
Well, and I tell you, I've been contending this, since this bracket was created, but people kept saying, well, Notre Dame, the best they can get is a 5 seed. Guys, we don't have a conference game, so we get a break, so we can heal up and do some things during that that off week that I really like. So I agree with what y'all are saying. You know, a bye week at that time of the year can really be good for people.
But it could also be, this is also kind of like when you think about the NFL playoffs, a lot of times that wild card team that catches a hot streak right then in the playoff, it works out really good for them. They may have lost a couple of games during the year that put them in a situation where they weren't as good at that time as they are right now. So getting in and getting a win in a home game type, or even on the road type of situation by not getting that bye could be just as important. Maybe they got their rest up time getting guys healthy during the season. It just depends on the team, I guess, you know?
Right. I can see a scenario where a team lost 2 games early and then went on a run and then lost a close conference championship and they play the next week, and that's good for them because they're pretty much still hot. And you don't want a team that you don't expect, you know what I'm saying? Something like a K-State or a VTech or something like that. Like they need to ride the wave. Because again, they don't have that 2-3 deep. They need to ride it right now. Let's keep it going.
Yeah. I kind of tend to see that team that does that being that SEC team that didn't qualify for the conference championship game. But they ended the year kind of hot.
Really good. Right. Really good.
Kind
of like Arizona did. Kind of like Arizona did last year. Kind of like Arizona did last year. Arizona was like, you know, at the beginning they was kind of shaky. Then they rolled off like 6 straight wins to end the season or something like that. So
very much so. Yeah, they almost didn't beat. They did lose to State, didn't they?
We had that year. We went 10-2. We thought we should have. We started off slow and we just went on a crazy streak, and we thought we should have played for the national championship.
Right. When you catch that streak, you want to keep playing.
Over the last 5 years.
Yeah, when you catch that streak, you want to just keep playing. You don't want no time off.
That Marino, I think it was that Marino year, Marino and Stafford year.
Oh yeah, I remember what you're talking about there. Good call.
Yeah,
it happens. You know, and like I would say that like at the end of the year last year, you know, that was probably when a team like, well, let's see, starting to look at LSU last year. They didn't look very good at the start. They won the Heisman because they looked a lot better towards the end. They lost a couple of really tight games, but who the hell wants to see Jaden Daniels and that receiving core in the playoff situation if it was a 12-team playoff?
That would have been a nightmare matchup for anybody in the first round because they had nothing to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've got a lot of ways to beat you. They can, you know, obviously it's just going to be a shootout. I love them in a shootout. I love LSU in a shootout type of game.
Right.
You know,
well, that's one thing about the playoffs, man. When you get to, you know, like the first 8 teams, like I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't want to play none of them. If I'm outside the top 8, I don't want to play nobody.
Right.
I mean, cause anybody can be beat. To me, anybody in probably the top 8, any given Saturday, you can be beat.
Yeah. That 9, 10, 11, 12 is just gonna be happy to be in the playoffs.
Sure. But I mean, you know, there's a lot of times that you've looked at that towards the end of the year where there's a couple of teams that they may have just came up just a little bit short, but they looked really good. You know what I mean? In certain situations.
Right, and it could be a matchup problem.
Georgia last year. Look at Georgia last year. You lose one damn game in the last 30 freaking football games, and you get left out of that thing. They run away with that playoff, in my opinion. Run away with it.
I thought so. But, you know, hey, you got to win when it counts, right?
They got beat by the one team that probably didn't believe they could beat Georgia. You know what I mean?
Matchups going to be key too, man.
Matchups, and again, like, right, and what we talk about streets. Like I said this the other night, I want to say, me and Brinsky was talking. If we had to play Alabama week 4, it would have been different than we playing because they kind of got their stuff together.
Right.
Got on the roll, figured out an offense for Milroe. How he could look the best, you know, so that kind of thing. Like, you don't want to play a team like Shawty said, like matchups. It could be an offensive style that, like, you know, nobody runs the wing T option like Georgia Tech used to. But just imagine if you matched up with an offense that you hadn't seen all year. You know what I'm saying? And this team just made the playoffs and they riding a hot wave. That ain't what you want because you got less time to prepare now. Like with bowl games, you had like a month. You playing in the first round. Ooh. That's like a regular, that's why Georgia Tech used to give people so many fits, because their offense, you only had technically like 4 or 5 days to prepare for that thing. And it's like, it's coming at you full speed.
And that style of football, I don't know if you know about wing T football. They ain't doing nothing but cutting. They're cutting the legs off. Like defensive end and defensive linemen have to do a whole different drill that week, because you haven't played anyone that does as much cutting as a team like that plays the wing T. It's a different kind of football.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is. For sure.
The trap sweep bootleg.
Yeah, making the playoffs is easier now, though. So winning when you get there, Spangler, to me is more important than making it. I don't give a shit.
I think for some coaches, though,
playoffs in a 12-team playoff when they never could in a 4.
I think that 12-team playoffs is a positive and a negative. Like you said, it's easier to make it. But then if you don't make it, for some of these coaches, like with James Franklin, for instance,
fair. That's
fair. If you don't like Mario Cristobal, James Franklin, I mean, to some extent, getting there ain't enough for Lincoln Riley in my book, like, because he's gotten there before. Like that's to your point, Jason. He's got to get there and win one. Like, but if you can't, if you want to do
Ryan Day.
Ryan Day, like
Ryan Day
got to win.
And winning one game in there isn't enough. Losing in the semifinal, you better lose to the semifinal, and that's if you don't get beat by Michigan. You get beat by Michigan, you better win the whole damn thing.
Right, I was about to say, if he loses to Michigan, he minimum got to make the championship.
Better win it all.
That might be the first time we all agree tonight on something.
Right. I think.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna step back away from that statement.
I think making it to the playoffs and winning one in the playoffs depend on what coach you are, if it's good or bad or not. Like Kirby can't just make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, his job ain't gonna be in jeopardy, but nobody's gonna be like, "Oh, Georgia was good if we make the playoffs. If we lose the first game," you know what I'm saying?
We don't taste that sandwich.
Right.
Same with Oklahoma. They've been to playoffs. They've been to 4 playoffs and then won a game in there.
I was gonna bring it up.
Playoff in a 12-team playoff. Nobody gives a shit about that at Norman.
I think Oklahoma, and this is maybe the only sense. Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley are the same in that boat. They both have to win a playoff game once you get there, because you've done it before.
But I would say making the playoff this year, if you Oklahoma just making it, would be a success.
Right. I agree with that.
This year, now next year may be different, but this year, if you make the 12-team playoff
and then losing the first,
I think you're ahead of schedule.
Right, I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think it depends. Okay, possibly, but if you make
that's a successful season. That's a successful season, Jason.
I understand what you're getting at, but I'm going to tell you now: if you make the playoff with this Oklahoma team, that means that you've done more than what people think you are right now, but not necessarily more than what Oklahoma fans see you as with that defense. It means that that defense is going to be one of the best in the country. It means that Jackson Arnold is protecting the football, and they do have the weapons that Oklahoma fans would expect to run out of that. I don't think that just getting there means shit to us. It doesn't really matter.
Mars said, dude.
I don't know.
In this particular year,
maybe some people would agree with that, but
I think
just based off current expectation, to me, it just would have to be
right.
And I think that's the statement right there, Shotty. Not the OU fans, but as a college football based fans looking at OU and what the expectations are for all those people, seeing them getting in would definitely be a success.
I think that's a very successful season. Even if
that means you either win the SEC or you the runner up. How can that not be successful?
Well, no, I think you could get in at 9-3 though.
Like, cause I think there's going to be at least one other team, if not 2. Like I say, I still stand by the Big Ten and SEC together. Some combination of 7 teams are getting in.
There's 7, yeah. There's going to be 7.
I don't know if that's 3 SEC.
4 out of the SEC. I think.
Right. I don't think. Like I say, I don't know if right now. I don't know if it's 3 SEC, 4 Big Ten, or vice versa. But I think there's at least one team from both conferences that don't make the conference championship that's going to get in. So like a minimum of 6.
Yeah, I think Iowa does it in the Big Ten, and I think that because I was scheduled plus that. If they lose any games, it'll be 1. It'll be the Ohio State game, it may be they're 10-2, and even then they probably make it in.
All right, Urban Engine says he agreed with Shawty too. That's a successful season.
That surprises me. That surprises me.
I think a lot of OU fans.
I'll tell you one thing. OU fans, not a lot. Some of them are reasonable, bro. Not a lot of them are when it comes to a lot of these guys. And even I would tell you that some
Sooner
people
Cowboys.
People that would tell you
about that trajectory, man.
Is not that guy that would be okay with them losing in the first round. Sooner Cowboys, you better stop lying to people.
Sooner Cowboys say making it CFP.
Sooner Cowboys better stop lying to people, because he would not be okay with that, with just getting to the playoff.
But this year,
lying, bro. But sure as hell better win at least one game. He just backed it up.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Look,
when you've lost that many times in the first round of the playoff, nobody.
But that was a different playoff.
And do that again.
Different league, everything.
Yeah, new quarterback, new OC.
The first round of this playoff is like worse than the losing in the first round of a 4-team.
Bro, look at the gauntlet you got to go through. Yeah, look at this gauntlet you got to go through though to get to the playoff.
That was disappointing because the Big 12.
I'm not saying I necessarily even disagree. Right, because of the schedule that they're running through this year. I get what you're getting at. I'm telling you how Oklahoma fans are.
Gotcha.
I'm just trying to explain that to you.
I hadn't noticed that.
Sure you haven't, Coach. Sure you
Jason Spangler said, would y'all sign up for making the playoffs and losing in the first round right now if it was guaranteed? That's what Jason asked. Like if it's guaranteed right now, they say you're in, but you lose the first round. 10-2.
I would probably roll the dice against not knowing what's going to happen. I mean, if you have an opportunity to say,
we always say a bird in the hand, right?
Bird in
the bush.
Again, we don't. Again, I can tell you that the last playoff that they were in going up against LSU, I did not want to see them there. I was really pissed off at Mario Cristobal for throwing away that damn game against Arizona and not making it instead of OU. Really pissed off at Oregon. And Mario, I didn't want to see that shit again.
Bird in the hand.
Right.
That was Jason. Bird in the hand.
I don't know that bird in the hand shit.
You know what, guys? In a nice way, fuck y'all. We don't give a shit.
And with that being said, gentlemen, I'm gonna go give my grandson to bed.
Man, it's midnight. I'm gonna have to roll out of here too, man.
Yeah,
hey, I love
wrap it
love
up,
being on here with you guys. Y'all are awesome dudes, man.
Coach, love you, man. Thanks for coming in. We'll talk at you. Hey, I gotta get you to sign these t-shirts and stuff, so I'll see you tomorrow for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna be at the county fair all day tomorrow. I'll holler at you when I'm on my way back into town.
Yeehaw, the county fair. Okay, brother.
Okay. Three county fairs and a pig. See you.
That was one of his best. That brings back a lot of memories right there. Coach used to say that one. I've been to 3 county fairs and a pig effing, and I ain't seen anything like it. He used to say shit like that whenever he was a coach when I first met him. Funny cat.
I'm gonna get out of here, but Jason, check your Twitter. I sent you the late night text from Connor Stallions and your boy Sharon Moore.
Oh, bro.
I appreciate you having me on, dog. I'm gonna get up out of here.
Much appreciation, man. Glad to see you in here, Coach. We'll see you on the next. Hey, I'll if you want to jump in the morning on the Rise and Shine, I'll shoot you a link too.
I got an appointment at 10. That's why I'm getting off now. I got an appointment at 10. I got like 3 appointments tomorrow, so
Ooh,
I gotta get it. Yeah, I gotta get it in tomorrow. All right, dog. Y'all be easy,
man. Be safe.
Later. I would a lot of people. Okay, Benji, appreciate you, man. Look, I would tell you that this is a lot of the reason. I don't know that I agree with this necessarily. I've said 2025 is Oklahoma's year. I believe that they can compete for it this year. The reason that I would tell you that I'm not okay with them just going and being out in the first round is because I think that there's some things that have happened that should make them more competitive. And them getting to the playoff means that Jackson Arnold is what we think he is, Plus, we got a really good defense. At that point, you got to love your chances if you're Oklahoma. So you wouldn't be satisfied with just getting there. You'd be like, we left something on the table there. For us to get there and then lose in that opening round means that we left something on the table again. And that's not a feeling that Oklahoma fans want at the moment, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? You said a lot of times, that same old sandwich don't taste that good. The playoff sandwich don't mean shit to me anymore.
I got you. I'm just saying, under the circumstances and based off of how people view you right now. I get you. It sounds like you saying, like, if you get there, then obviously your standards and things have somewhat changed because you've seen it happen. So for you to get there and not do well, then you left some on the table. I get that. I'm just speaking as of right now, but I get what you're saying. I mean, I understand.
No, I'm saying, I think that if you ask me right now if a playoff and out is a successful season, I would say yes.
Right.
At the end of the year, I would think we left something on the table.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I
it took something to get there, right?
Right. I got you. Yeah.
So, I mean, look, and I think again, even then, I mean, that's where everybody's got a broken heart, but one program at the end of the season, right? Everybody does. But I would think that it takes a little time after the season's over with to digest kind of what just happened. I think a year from now, you would certainly be excited about the season coming in because you made the playoff. I get that. And you probably got a lot of players coming back to make a better run. But again, the fact that nobody thinks Oklahoma's going to the playoff doesn't mean that I don't think they're going to the playoff. I do. I think they're going to play Georgia for the SEC championship game at the end of this season. I do think that. I don't know how really confident I am in the last part of it, but the playoff part, I am confident. I believe they're going to be in the playoff either way. I don't think. I think that some of these other teams, it's easy to say they're better than Oklahoma, but them being better than Oklahoma may not be the same thing. You know what I mean? I've heard all the reasons. I get what you're saying. I still don't buy it. I don't buy Lane Kiffin. I damn sure don't buy Missouri. And, so, and I don't buy Texas. So I don't think it's that much of a stretch for Oklahoma to get there. They're playing all those teams. They're playing 6 of the 7 teams ranked ahead of them by the SEC media. So we'll know how good they are at the end of the season for sure.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Totally.
Yeah. Let's see. 100%.
Hey, I say this, man, and I'm going to slide out of here too, man. For everybody that has podcasts and you have a format, don't invite me on your show because it's going to go off the rails. I'm just telling you.
Whatever, bro.
Appreciate you for having me on now.
We love you, man. I was busting your top because we were busting mine this morning. So I knew that was where this was headed whenever we got you in. But no, you always know that I enjoy having you on, brother. You're my guy.
Appreciate you having me, man.
Shawty, tell everybody how to find you before you get out of here.
Yeah, man. Once again, man, shout out to everybody in the comments, man, and everybody who was on the panel tonight. It's always a blast. I appreciate you guys having me. To all the OU fans, everybody else in the comments, you guys can generally find me on Wednesday nights, YouTube, 9:30, Just My Damn Opinion. You can find me on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock, Respect the Hedges. You can also find me Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, Doc and the Jock, and Saturday nights, 8 o'clock, Saturday night Snap Count. I'm all over the place.
I got to get over to the Doc and the Jock, man. I haven't been able to check it out yet.
Doc have some things going on. So she just got back from actually Texas, man. Her son's in the Junior Olympics, so we haven't filmed the show. She's been gone. So we'll hopefully get back on schedule next week.
Very, very cool. Yeah, hey man, that's awesome stuff. Thank you for joining us again, man. I appreciate you. We'll catch you tomorrow night on Just My Damn Opinion.
I appreciate it, man. Y'all be easy, man.
All right, bro. Have a good one. Shout it, Parker. Just My Damn Opinion and Fanatic Sports Network. I'm just getting this information. Look, what I would tell you is this is why you were so happy about that wide receiver depth. And Gibson wasn't slated as a starter, by the way. That sucks to me because I think he was ready to have a breakout year. Sucks for Jaden Gibson. Awful, awful, awful. Shitty. Yeah, the leaders of OU are saying that this is a player-led program. This is why I was saying that to me, this is why you think just a playoff, just getting to this 12-team playoff. I get it. That means that you've had to run through a gauntlet in the SEC. You're going to be happy about that part of it, right? But it's not quite enough. Who steps up now? I think the next guy in line, I think it's different because with Gibson, he's a 6'6" guy. I think you might end up seeing some Ivan carry on in certain situations. But to me, it opens up some door. You've been hearing a little bit. We've been hearing some stuff about, well, a couple of different guys, right? But the younger guys. So we're getting Andrell Anthony back. I think you're going to see some more of him anyway, but this kind of brings in those guys like Jacquez Petaway into the mix, where you expect him to maybe get a little more of those reps that Jaden Gibson wasn't a starter. So I think you see him get more of those kind of reps. Possibly, though, you could also see a guy like Brennan Thompson getting a few more. You're going to probably get some of him anyways because of his speed. But there's we've been hearing Brennan Thompson's looking better and better all the time as well, right? I like Jacquez Petaway a ton. But yeah, it's got to be, dude, this is absolutely right. It's been a rebuild. I understand that too, but you know damn good and well you wouldn't be happy with one and done in the playoffs, Sooner Cowboys. Don't act like we don't know who you are. I ain't brand new. Come on. It is next man up, right? I hope it's just a sprain. If it's an ACL, and look, I haven't seen it. I don't know. But if you're hearing people saying it's probably an ACL, and sometimes, by the way, a sprained ACL could be as bad as just ripping it up. They just don't get better real quick. He was thinking he hyperextended it. Yeah, see, okay, thank you. I ain't brand new. I knew this. It's not a good thing, man. It's not a good thing. A hyperextension, those are, that hurts too. That hurts thinking about it. Now, that doesn't mean his career. I mean, look, man, I love Jaden Gibson. I think it sucks for him just in view of the fact that he kind of went through it his first year at Oklahoma. There's all that promise, the size that, but he was kind of where he's been alpha male, alpha dog for the last, for the better part of last season, and coming into this year, you're hearing that he didn't appreciate being undervalued, I guess, by the regular media, and even not being necessarily a starter. I think that would probably have pushed Jaden. So it sucks for him. Also, it's just another thing to kind of get him some more motivation when he comes back. And it's something for you to, at least we know he is that guy that he's already kind of felt slighted, so he'll work his ass off to come back. And it sucks for Jaden though. Sucks for Jaden a lot. I hope that's not what this is, but as far as that, out for the year type of deal, that sucks. Yeah. I think that's where the nuance comes in, Sooner Cowboys, is that, yes, in order to make, because of this schedule, in order to make the playoff means that, because I don't think that any of us would tell you that a 9-3 season is a bad year. But I also think that Oklahoma is one of the few teams that could get in at 9-3. So you would be on the lower end of it, and you might go up against a pretty decent team in the opening round. Probably the 5 or 6 seed. They're not going to be the last team probably, but they could, I guess. So yeah, 5 or 6 seed. So if you lost to Notre Dame, I could see it, right? If you lost to the SEC number 2 in the second round, or in that first round game on the road, I could see it. If you're the home team in that situation in the first round of the playoffs, you better not lose that. That's the other part that we didn't really talk about. Chances are Oklahoma plays in that first round, they're going to host. There's no way anybody would be okay with losing a home playoff game. I don't give a shit who it is. Oof. He's a redshirt sophomore, right? Or is he a junior? He is a junior, I guess. I didn't think he burned that that year, the year that BV first got here, right? It happens, fellas. See, but okay, so if you're a little older, Mars Jams, right? It used to be career over, right? The tearing your ACL, over with, done. It's different. Junior and never got a red shirt. Okay. Well, now he'll have this is going to be a medical red shirt. He's still got time to come back. He's still got 2 years for sure, and maybe a third, depending on how it all goes. Yes, that was the other thing. You did have CJ Baxter went down. I haven't heard anything else that he had the injury or a knee. He went down with a knee. I'm not sure exactly what that. He's scheduled for an MRI. Was the last thing that I saw, right? Let's see. Yeah. I think that's the last thing. You just got to wait and see on the MRI. The last thing we've heard on Texas. It wouldn't be easy for, listen, I mean, you look at, the one thing is they do have still Savion Red coming back, who he's been one of their better backs. And then they have Jaden Blue. Is Red coming back? Tell me if I got that. I may have that one wrong, actually. Jaden Blue is their other guy. Look, this is the one thing that, and I would say this for both Oklahoma and Texas. We're talking about injuries at positions that they're heavy on. They have more depth at those positions than anywhere else, both of them. Red is gone, but they still. Jaden Gibson, Bishop Frank. Jaden Gibson looks like an ACL, but he's got to have an MRI. Nobody's for sure yet. He's their second year. Yeah, he was the number one running back in the country 2 years ago. He was a true freshman last year. It looked pretty good at times. Matter of fact, though, he was the starter at the start of the season last year for Texas. He was the starter. He got banged up a little bit, and then that's when you saw I don't know, I just brain farted on his name. The guy that just got drafted after he got hurt. Man, brain fart. He is that dude, though. He looked like he was that guy. I think that it was clear who the best running back and he was probably the best running back in the country last year, though, too. So we'll see. You think who will be fine? Hey, look, I think that they're both going to be okay, no matter what. I mean, we're talking about modern medical science says the ACL. Look, Adrian Peterson, now he's a freaking cyborg, but he almost broke the NFL record, not even 9 months removed from his, right? Hey, man, good to see you, Timothy Green. Appreciate you. Medical red shirt ain't coming. Yeah, listen, Brooks is who I was talking about. He was actually, but Baxter was starting over Brooks at the start of the season. He went out with being nicked up a little bit. Brooks established himself as that dude when he did. And then Baxter, it took him and Jaden Blue to kind of continue providing close to that same level of production as what they were just getting out of their the one guy before that. It is what it is, Timothy Green, we appreciate you, man. I really hope that I don't wish injury on anyone. I don't give a shit who they play for. I mean, we talk shit about Texas here and stuff and all that kind of stuff. And it is what it is. I thought it sucked when Brooks went out last year because he was unbelievable. Now, he was a first rounder anyway. Or wasn't he? Early round, maybe a second rounder, right? He's a stud, though. But he would have been a first rounder had he have probably played out the rest of the season. Anyway, he was a bad dude. Yeah, Baxter is, brother. He's if you look at what he was in high school, he was a bad dude, right? Tough loss for them. Jaden Blue has probably been Jaden Blue, though, is a lot of people will tell you he's the greatest high school running back in the history of Texas. That's, I don't know how much I believe that necessarily, but the fact that they're having that conversation in Austin means a lot. That means he was that guy. But yes, they do. They suck. It's terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Look, I think it's terrible for Jaden Gibson. Because like I said, you kind of saw a huge year, a breakout year coming for him. Now, it just moves it back. I think he's going to have a breakout year at some point. It probably would have happened this year, right? That being said, it's going to happen for him at some point because he's just that good. He's a big guy. He that mean streak that he kind of got in him and the balls that he was catching, dragging people into the end zone, shit like that. Once you get that, it don't really go away. As long as he does well with the rehab stuff. I think it sucks for him. I'm not worried about Oklahoma in that room. I think that they've got a bunch of dudes that we hadn't even talked about a lot yet. Zion Kearney, he's a big guy, speed, catches a lot of balls. He can go up and get that. I mean, he's a freshman, but you might see some more out of him that you probably wouldn't have seen him at all this season. Coach Sean was telling us how much he really likes Zion Kearney. We hadn't really talked much about him at all, but how many people were worried and wondering what's going to happen with Jacquez Petaway? Now he's going to get more probably looks and opportunities to establish himself as one of those dudes. It may only take just an opportunity for that guy. They're talking about a dude that was running a freaking 22-second 200 a year ago. Appreciate you, Wiley. Thanks for coming in. Well, I don't know. He's different than Jalil Farouk. Look, he's a lot. To me, he's very much Nick Anderson, maybe with the same motor. I don't know that he's. I don't know that he was probably better at the end of the year than Nick Anderson was. Now, he only caught 14 footballs, so it wasn't that bad. And I think that Nick's the guy. I think that, and I love it that he's been snubbed by every media person and all-American team and all that other stuff. I love that. That's motivational stuff. And we know how Rodney was, so we think a lot of Nick. But he's that dude. Zion Kearney is going to be a dude. Yes, he is. Ivan Carrion's going to be a dude. Yep. Are you talking about Ivan or are you talking about not Zion? Zion Kearney was, I want to say he's 6'2", 6'3", though. He's not as big as like Jaden was, but yeah. Dude, Ivan Carrion's 6'6", 6'7". So, does a 9-3 number 6 strength of schedule Bama get in over a 10-2 47 strength of schedule Notre Dame? Ooh boy, he's on the Bubba stuff. He's trying to get. I'll just do this one for him.
You know what, guys? In a nice way, fuck y'all. We don't give a shit.
Oh my Lord. Still got that transfer from Missouri too. He's 6'4". Who? Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Let's go back and look at some of these. Let me find our recruiting classes real quick just so I can. So Jocko Petaway was in the room as far as from Jackson Arnold's class, right? Pretty much. Keon Brown never made it to town. Andrell was in that class with them, but he obviously came over as a transfer. So the next season then had, which was the 24 commitments. Those are the guys we're kind of talking about, because you have Zion Kearney, who he was the top 150 guy, 6'2" guy out of Missouri City. Then you have Ivan Carrion, again, 6'6" guy out of Odessa, Texas. Zion Reagan's, I don't know. It feels like right now the path isn't as easy to get Reagan's in, although you may see him in certain situations, jet sweep, certain situations, kick returner, certain packages. You may see Zion Reagan's because he's electric. But we're talking about a dude that he's not a big guy. He's a little guy. We're talking 5'8" little. He's smaller than I am. What are you talking about? 9-3, number 6 strength of schedule. Bama get in over 47. Who are you calling ESPN ranking as 16 teams? SEC teams best strength of schedule was, what's the word? What are you talking about? So give us the ranking that you thought was bullshit. Don't just say the ranking was bullshit. Come on. He's from Oklahoma when in high school. From where? From this year? From when? I'm looking. Hold on. Oh, you're talking about Brandon, the walk-on? He's gone. He left in the portal, if that's who you're talking about. You out of here, Jimmy? It's going to be all about strength of schedule. Let me just answer your question. Do I think that could happen? Yeah, it could happen. That would be tough on them because they love Alabama, and Nick Saban's going to be in the room probably. And then, I mean, who doesn't love Notre Dame when it comes to television? Folks, they know the ratings are going to be huge. That would be their worst nightmare. Great question, by the way. Thanks for coming in, my man. Appreciate you. If you were talking about Brandon, was it Brandon something? Yeah, I'm fixing to be out of here. We've been going 3 hours. I gotta get to work. Actually, yeah, we've been going 3 hours, and it is later than normal because I was late. It's been a freaking crazy week for me too. Look, guys, to be honest with you, as far as that, I mean, we'll be talking about it in the morning as well. There's not as many FCS games in there that you're talking about, though. And it's not that. It's when you look at these guys' schedule in the first off, Alabama's playing Wisconsin at Wisconsin. USC's getting Wisconsin at home as a conference game, right? JJ Hester. Yes, JJ Hester. You're right. My bad. I forgot about him too, by the way. When did he come in? 21, 22? 21, right. Hey man, good to see you too, man. Man, you guys are all running off on me. That's wild. No, I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Thanks a lot, Neilio, as always, man. Good to see you. Mm-hmm. Drew, yeah, you came in late. Crazy. It doesn't get counted towards your strength of schedule, but it doesn't mean that it's taking away from your strength of schedule either. You can look. Nobody runs through a strength of schedule unless, I mean, aside from Texas in the SEC. Look at who Alabama plays and where they play them. They're on the road to OU. They're on the road to LSU. They got to play Georgia. They're on the road at Tennessee, another team that people expect to be really good. You don't. That's real. That's real stuff. You're playing the best games SC plays are home games, or the I love the Lincoln Riley. Well, you get to go play in those, on a neutral field games. You're getting LSU on a neutral field, but it's almost a home game for you in Vegas. Come on. Because actually probably more people will be there than would be at the Coliseum. Come on, Trojan Fight, man. I know, I get it that you love SC. I get it. But this talking about the SEC like it's not the best conference in the country is stupid. It's a stupid narrative. Yeah, I kind of forgot about JJ. Actually, I heard something about JJ Hester yesterday, but it's not. You don't hear a bunch of him because they don't see him on the field a whole lot. But he was like 21 or 22, wasn't he? 21, I think. Let me look. I'm on that page. I can find out. Maybe not. No, Jaleel Farouk was 21 class. So let's go to 22. I don't see that other one either. Nick Anderson was a 22 kid. Gibson was 22 as well. Hester, yeah, it says, okay, yeah, that was the Missouri transfer. 6'3.5", 181. Actually, 6'4". Yeah, so he's a bigger body guy, right? Came in with Bunkley Shelton. Yeah, he transferred in, with Bunkley Shelton. That's right. Not wrong. So he did transferred in, but that was the 2022 recruiting cycle that he came in. That's a good, yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. We hadn't seen much out of him, right? We hadn't seen much out of him. I would tell you that he's got some more climbing still. I don't know that was, but I heard his name for a reason yesterday. I'm not exactly sure who it was. You guys are something else, man. You guys are something else. Lincoln's running away from every freaking big time game that he can, like trying to get rid of the damn Notre Dame to justify not playing Notre Dame. And you're going to come in here and talk shit about the SEC. Come on, bro. Come on. All right. Yeah. Oklahoma is scheduling Michigan, and we're already coming in for the next couple of years. They're not running from anything, and they're about to have a 9-game conference schedule too. That the things are going to change a little bit, but it's a lazy thing to say, Trojan Fight. It's a lazy thing to say, and it's a loserish thing to say if you ask me. Because what's the Pac-12 doing? And Lincoln's running from competition, not towards it. There's a difference. All right, guys, I appreciate everybody coming in. If you haven't already hit that like button, even if you disagree with this or whatever, make sure you hit the like button. It's the right thing to do. It's free. Way to go with that stuff. Hey, make sure that you jump into our official show merchandise store as well, hofmedia.us/pod-merch. We've got a lot of different designs in there as well. In fact, I got one that I'm about to be popping up there. You probably want to take a look at it. If you want official licensed merchandise, I'm working on something with Home Field, but we already have our Fanatics store as well, hofmedia.us/just Fanatics. It's just like going and doing it on your own. You can go to Fanatics anytime you want, but if you use our link to do it, you get even more of a discount than you normally would. It helps the show out a little bit, not a ton. It'll help you more, actually. I generally see a lot more of the free shipping and stuff coming from there, and just extra discounts off of what you already see. Fanatics is a great deal. The biggest licensed merchandise store in the world is Fanatics. Make sure you jump on there through us. That's a way to do it as well. Listen, man, if you want to save money for real on wireless, you should definitely check out Mint Mobile. Try mintmobile.com/HOF. You can get 3 months of unlimited talk, text, and data on the nation's largest 5G network for just $45 for 3 months. That's $15 a month to try it out. You can try it on the same phone that you're using right now. You don't have to change plans. Try it before you commit long term for $45. It worked out for me. I'm saving over this year. I will save $1,600 plus total on the 2 phone lines that I had through Verizon just by switching over to Mint Mobile. You know, if it doesn't work out, no harm, no foul. But if it does, it's a great deal, and we are happy to bring that to you as well. Make sure you guys go take a look at it. We appreciate everybody coming in. Again, as I said, free way to support the show. Hit the freaking like button. Share us with your friends. We really would love to get to 4,000 subs before the season starts. That would be above our average on a monthly basis for adding subscriptions. So I'm going to need your help to do that. Share the stream with 3-4 people before you see it again. Share the stream with 3 or 4 people before you see it again. That would help us out. We'd appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming in. I'll be back in the morning for Rise and Shine College football. We'll see you on the next one.